and that sort of reflected in the allegations that were made by her fiance. And here, really, we're not gonna get into that.
And here is Kelsey herself.
Hi, Kelsey.
How are you, Kelsey?
So I told them that you have a lot of Christmas shopping to do, so you don't have a lot of time.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Can you talk about what your reaction is now that you're at
I just want to say a few short things. I just want to thank my legal team for not giving up on me. And I want to thank my supporters. And I just have full faith in the jury system. And it's going to be good when the jury comes out.
How do you feel that one of the conditions of your release is not to be with your baby?
So we're not
As
gonna.
you would imagine.
Yeah.
What are you
not
doing?
gonna come in
We're
there.
not going to go there.
She has shopping to do, and I also want to announce, maybe I'm dropping the ball on this, but there's a tree waiting for you at home to decorate. So you want to get there.
What are you doing for Christmas?
I'm going to spend it with my family.
What's for dinner tonight?
Can't wait to see your dog.
I don't know.
Whatever she wants. Whatever she wants.
And she's got.
Can you describe what it's like to, I mean, you've been spending the last several months behind bars, and to know that a couple days before Christmas, you're now going to be going to do mom's house. Can you tell people what that's like for you?
It's everything I've wished for these past few months. All I wanted to do was be home with my family for Christmas, so that's all I wished for.
Kelsey, you may not be able to comment on this, but how did you feel like being in front of the same judge that revoked your bail?
So we're going to leave that in the rearview mirror.
Yeah, we're looking ahead.
And do
We're confident we're looking ahead, and I think that's it.
You've been behind bars for over 100 days. Can you talk about if this is just a long time coming? Did you think you should have been out a lot sooner?
We made our position clear. You know, we wanted to prosecute it all the way to the SJC, which we did. And, you know, Kelsey healed up enough so that she can comply with the court's terms. So here we are, and we're looking ahead, and we can't wait to get this to a jury.
Thank you very much.
Merry Christmas, Kelsey.
Thank you.
It's great to see you out and smiling.
Great job, guys. Happy Christmas, guys.
All right, welcome to MazzaMedia. Good evening, everybody. It's Sunday afternoon. The Patriots have won, and Kelsey Fitzsimmons had a big victory this past week as well. That video by Law Girls Not Attorneys filmed earlier this week, and it's a very great day for her that particular day to get home, leave that facility in Western Massachusetts, and head on home for Christmas. Which was fantastic, and that was the moment we all wanted to see. We're going to do a fundraiser here for a few hours tonight. I'm rocking my Christmas shirt, courtesy of my sister, WS. Let me take this down for a second. This ain't working. There we go. Courtesy of my sister for Christmas with the Stranger Things radio station shirt that I got here. So, yeah, my sister hooked me up with that. I couldn't believe it. But I'm rocking that shirt, but today we're rocking a fundraiser for Kelsey Fitzsimmons. This is fantastic news. Look. Obviously, there's a lot of fighting. There's a lot of battles to be won for Kelsey going ahead, but this was a huge victory. I thought that this was one of those, must-have victories because at this point, she can't be spending all this time in jail. It was too much time, first and foremost. She should have never spent a second in jail at all, but now we see Kelsey got to go home for Christmas. She's been essentially restored to some degree back to the original restrictions with a few different tweaks here and there. She doesn't have to do a breathalyzer day each day. It's essentially, scheduled at random between an hours of around, I think, 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. But this is great news. We're going to have a few guests throughout the show, maybe a few surprises as well, but we're going to get going. Kelsey Fitzsimmons fundraiser today is at the start of the show, is at $61,700. Melanie Little also helped bring in a lot of funds the exact day Kelsey was released, which was great. Hope everybody had a great holiday, and hope everybody's looking forward to a great new year. Thank you as well, Law Girls Not Attorney, for your video there and coverage as well. A lot of people were out there covering that case that have footage online as well, which is fantastic. And we're ready to go. So we're going to start this fundraiser. It's already good to go with one donation or two already coming in. But Lauren, Katie, So basically, look at this. There's some weather in New York. It's coming this way. It's going to snow in Massachusetts again tonight. But live from New York, it is not Saturday Night Live. It is private investigator Lauren Katie. Good evening. How are you?
Hi, Mazza. Great to be with you. How you doing?
I'm excited. I'm happy to be back. I don't think I've done a show in like 2 weeks. I was sick basically all of last week, including through Christmas. Just got through the holidays, which was great. No COVID, no flu, which was great. Just a typical seasonal cold, but pretty much over it by now. Ready to be back. Excited to be back. I really wanted to do the show earlier in the week when she was released. I'm like, great, I can't do a show because I'm sick and I don't feel like going on the air like achoo all day long. So I didn't want to do that. But a lot of people covered this story, well covered,
Yes.
and I'm happy for that. I'm happy for Kelsey being home. And I know you, like many others, when the SJC ruling came down, it really did seem like, oh my Lord, she's going to be spending all this time in jail and solitary through the trial. And then all of a sudden, Bradel knew what he had. Bradel knew what his next play was. He pulled an ace out of his sleeve. They got the emergency hearing, and out she went home for sushi and decorating a Christmas tree as well as Christmas shopping. So that's great news.
Yes. No, I'm glad you're feeling better. And yeah, it was such a gut punch. I think a lot of us wanted to be hopeful, but with the Karen Reed and the decision that they brought down with the SJC not seeming to want to know the actual truth, hopes weren't super high. And then when that decision came out, it was infuriating. How in the world could they do this? And then I think Bradel had everything planned out in case that happened. And fortunately, the next day she was out, and man, what a day that was.
It was.
So happy that she's out.
It was. And I, like everybody, I was not confident in the SJC. I thought that there was a chance they would let her out. I did. But I was also on the fence in regards that I feel like the SJC in Massachusetts typically rules in favor of the judge's initial ruling, and they don't typically come back and are like, well, the judge was wrong. It's almost like it's a judicial colleague. They don't want to undermine a judge. It's almost, I'm just concerned that they feel like they're undermining the judicial system, even though in Karen Reed's case, like we saw after trial 1, they argued that 2 of those charges should have been off the books for the second trial, but yet the SJC kicked back, said no. And we saw what happened in the second Karen Reed trial. It was back to the beginning. It was back to basics. Everything's back in play, which elongated a second trial that could have been over a lot quicker if it was just drop charges and then what remained. And it would have been a simple, pretty much a DUI case to some degree. Now, with this, here you go again. SJC, here's the appeal, the petition, whatever you want to call it. And then all of a sudden, here they come, kick back to the judge's initial understanding. Your reaction to that, obviously frustration, anger, nothing was broken, right? You didn't throw anything? Okay.
No, I kept my Italian to a minimum on that one.
Okay, good.
It was just frustrating, it's like, oh, how much longer, just for, my whole thing was like, if she were to be convicted on the charges that she is facing, she wouldn't be in jail. And so how is this lady still in jail? That was my whole thing. It's like, how could they not see that? So yes, just I agree with you. It seems as though if a single justice has ruled it, they're even less likely to overturn that. It seems to be the case.
That's what's troublesome for me too, is that I was against Judge Beverly Cannoni's handling of obviously I was against everything Judge Beverly Cannoni did. I mean, I'm sure a broken clock is right once a day. And I'm sure there's even aspects that judge ruled on that were standard one-on-one rulings that nobody would, no matter what side of the ball you're on, you're going to agree or disagree. But with this judge, I did not like, obviously, like everybody, didn't like the rulings, didn't like the fact that she was, forcing a breathalyzer on her when other alternatives were obviously available. But at that particular point, in my opinion, penalizing her in a sense that Kelsey was openly and admittedly unable to do that without a high level of discomfort. And it wasn't a matter of, anything at all in terms of not wanting to do it, but being able to do that.
Yeah. It's insane. I mean, I'm up here in New York and telling my friends all about this case, and when I'm explaining it, they're like, "But where does the alcohol? Why does she have to blow into that?"
Right.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Like it's insane,
Yeah.
to have that as a stipulation. It's really just insane.
Right. And, and again, that judge again knowing, and then, like Bradel's argument was that day back in court, which is, hey, alternatives are available. If someone, don't ask someone that, say, for example, confined to a wheelchair to run a marathon. Don't,
Right.
Don't ask someone that is visually impaired to have to see, and that's where I bring it to, because if someone is physically unable or has physical limitations, you cannot punish them for those physical limitations, right? And that's my attitude towards that, was like, well, first and foremost, before we even, even before we, to preface all this, there was no alcohol related charge. There was, well, she drank a few times. Come on.
Join the club.
Exactly, right? Exactly. I mean, you're out in New York. That place is about to be, rocking in a couple of days here. In about 3 days, it's going to be the biggest party on the planet, pretty much. And people are going to drink. People are going to be at parties. People are going to be in tall buildings all night, dressed to the nines, drinking champagne, drinking all kinds of alcohol. It happens. People actually drink. And that's my attitude about all this, is that you had two things I felt the judge did wrong. Number one, enforcing an alcohol-related restriction on her. Number two was imposing a specific type of test on her that I did not think was fair at all. And it just led to a lot of chaos in this whole matter. Kelsey going down a road where she didn't really have to, we shouldn't have had to have seen her celebrate being released from jail this week, because she should have been under house arrest, worst case, this entire time.
Absolutely. And I feel, getting back to the how personal it feels with this judge, I don't know. I guess the skeptic in me wonders, did she set her up with the scram because she knew she would fail that, because she knew the injuries? She was aware, whether she wants to say she was or wasn't. She had the documentation. So did she set her up for failure? I don't know. It's very possible. But like you said, you can't get mad at someone or irritated at someone for asking for some kind of an adjustment to something where you're not physically capable of doing it. That's not okay.
Great point. And to that point, I look at the judge. The judge's conditions on all of this was, you must do the scram test or you go back to jail. This past week, they had her. I'm actually glad they had her do it before she left the facility, because I wanted her to prove it. I know they would mandate that anyways, but it's good. It's like, good. She can do it. You see it. She can do it. Good. Send her home finally. But that was the condition. It was like, well, you're either, and here's the thing, even though Bradel argued for a change in tests, she never changed it. It was basically, they came back and said, guess what? We waited out the SJC ruling and now she can do it. But again, the judge only released her on the terms that she does that scram test, which fortunately for Kelsey, she was now physically recovered enough to be able to do, because I mean, God forbid that she wasn't able to still do that test, to some degree without levels of difficulty to this day, because guess what? She would have spent Christmas in that facility, New Year's, and right through the trial, I'm guessing, until she was acquitted. Which is a travesty that that judge let this all hang on her health and her recovery. And to me, that makes me a little sick, because again, it goes back to those original points.
Absolutely. I'm right there with you. And, it's up to the judge's discretion. They have so much leeway. So wouldn't it have made sense in a reasonable and prudent mind of the judge to say, okay, we know that your injuries are such right now that we are going to okay you for the urine testing. And when you're healed enough, we want to switch you, if your trial hasn't come here, to the scram. Right. That would have made more sense. But no, instead, she put her in jail to where she had to spend Thanksgiving there away from her family.
Right.
It's maddening.
And it was. And God, thankfully, God willing, they were able to have an emergency hearing right after that SJC ruling came down. And we're able to get in there and say, hey, look, she's good to go. We'll prove it. You can release her now. It just seems to me like a lot of unnecessary steps that she had to take. And, you know, as citizens, we're free to disagree with how our justice system is treating people, acting, and enforcing laws, because, you know, it's like the Karen Reed case. It's like, you know, any other case. It you know, it could happen to you too at some point, and God forbid it does.
Exactly.
You know, and you don't want to be, you know, we've learned now. I mean, obviously Massachusetts and any other state is always going to have its layers of injustice. It's always been all over the world too. There's always been laws in other countries where people are served with injustices. It's always going to happen. And I think for us, it's up to the people to continually show support, raise awareness, use their voices, be vocal about it. Because I think that our people that are in authority here, whether it's at the governor, mayors, you know, senators, you know, whatever you have, judges, justices, law, whatever, you know, we're not asking them to always give us what we want, in the sense that no matter what our views are, we should be adhered to. But what we are asking for is that there's a level of fairness, partial, not impartiality, impartiality, not partiality, and that everybody basically is sane. If Karen Reed did it or not, rule accordingly. If Kelsey Fitzsimmons did what she did or not, rule accordingly. And I don't think there should be extras. I don't think that people like Karen should have to go through 2 trials. And honestly, I'll be honest with you, I'm still convinced to this day, if Judge Beverly Canoni had the opportunity to force a 3rd trial, you bet your bottom dollar she probably would have done it, based on the reaction, when she saw that verdict slip. And you look at Kelsey, I mean, God forbid, you know, if they had got her on some kind of technicality, oh, well, she didn't, looks like she's still having trouble with it, send her back. It's you know, where does it end? Where does it stop? And additionally, what are the crimes here? What are the charges? And those are things that concern me, Lauren.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I just, you know, it's part of our Constitution. We have the constitutional right to share and voice our opinions. And
Yes.
if we're not doing that, we're wasting, you know, what this country is about. And so when we see an injustice, people should get involved. And that's even just talking about this case and how we feel about it is doing that and exercising that right. So I'm all for it.
Absolutely. Looks like we got a couple donations rolling in so far. $50 to lead us off here. A couple different combinations have come in. Thank you guys so much for that. A few different anonymous givers. Very good to hear. Appreciate that Kelsey is getting that support. And that's what we'll do. We'll continue to help her out the best we can. Not every fundraiser is going to be, you know, 3,000 or greater, but that doesn't matter. It's about doing what we can to assist people. I should also direct people to the description on this video today. There's additional information there for you. There is there are other fundraising mechanisms guaranteed to go directly to Kelsey. Kelsey's Giftful Wishlist is in the description. I'll put that in the chat right now. This has some opportunities for you to get some stuff for her. And then there's also an Amazon wish list out again. So they have a revised list on the wish list that has information for everybody that you can buy or purchase, whatever is listed there. I've checked a few things, I think some necklaces, some other needs. I think on the Giftful, it had a weight room machine, which is good, which is great for her to have an opportunity to work out while she's at home, because she can't leave and, like myself, go out for a walk or go to the gym. So we give her that opportunity as well. Joining us here is someone that has spent a lot of time today broadcasting on YouTube, reading some sidebars. Emily C.
Hi, Emily.
Hello. Hi. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So we're just talking about Kelsey's GiveSendGo, obviously, which is the main purpose of tonight's show is to raise funds, but also a giftful.com account for, as well as Amazon.com. And we talked a little bit about the reaction to this past week. The SJC's ruling really causing us to be quite frustrated. I'm hearing that link isn't working. Jenna, I'll take care of that. And then additionally, we have the change that, Bradle rule, had an emergency hearing, got her out of that emergency hearing. She's now home for Christmas. So I'm going to leave you with that as a conversational piece while I correct that link for Jenna in the description there. Thanks.
Yeah. I mean, I'm so glad that you're doing this today, because I think that there can be a feeling right now where it's like two things can be true at once. We can celebrate the fact that now Kelsey's home, but really that's just the start. Like that, we're back to square one where we should have been in the first place, which is that like she
Right.
never should have been in jail in the first place. But the fight is just starting for her. That she, I mean, if we truly believe, like based on that police report, that like Noonan didn't hide behind a door because there is no door, and that some parts of his story are shady, and we're kind of already primed because of Karen Reed and other cases to feel like the police reports might not always be fully accurate in these cases, that Kelsey has a big fight ahead of her. And if what she was suffering from in the first place was postpartum depression and some mental health struggles, I'm positive that being incarcerated for as long as she was, wrongfully so, did not help that at all. So I'm really glad that you're doing this so that we can continue to support her.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much. Go ahead, Lauren. Yep.
To go off of Emily's point, all of those appeals and all of those emergency hearings, that's extra, money that goes to the attorneys that she wasn't planning for, but were necessary. So, she may have already have to pay retainers and things like that, but all of these other things are extra. So any kind of, funds we can put forth, even if it's $5, that adds up. You get, a couple hundred people that have donated $5, and that makes a real difference. And so she definitely needs our help because this is not over.
Totally. And I think it's like it adds up in the support of what she needs financially, but it also just shows her how many of us are behind her and how many of us are supporting her. Because I can only imagine like not being able to see your baby and losing your fiance and this like future that you had imagined in the way that she did has the potential to make her feel really alone. And now suddenly like we can show her that she has this new army of people behind her that are supporting her, that are on her side, and that really care about her and want to see her succeed and happy and healthy and where she should be. And then on top of that, like the judge's ruling the other day requires her now to be getting this additional like mental health support, which is great, but also that's something additional that she needs to pay for. And she can't miss an appointment with Dr. Zizel. And she, so she needs the money to go to that now too. It's a lot.
It is.
Yeah. Still messing around with that link. I think I finally got it. So it took a couple of tries. Once I go live on StreamYard, it doesn't allow me to edit the Amazon link, but it should be in there now. So I had to go to the YouTube level. Let me just double check that link for everybody. Let's see if we got it. Let's make sure it works. We're hoping here. I think we got it. We got it. All right. That link is now corrected in the description perfectly. Perfect. So we got different buying options here for Kelsey. Some winter hat, necklaces, a towel, some weights, and some additional products. I admit as a guy, I don't know what they are, but I think it's something that said airbrush. I don't know. As a guy, I'm sorry, I don't know what that stuff is.
Maybe we should do a tutorial. Pull it up on the screen and let's talk through what some of these things are.
Yeah, we'll do it. You got it. That works for me. We're going to walk Mazza through. We're going to give Mazza a walkthrough here.
We're going to give Mazza some beauty lessons today.
Exactly. I'm going to have to get
this is the hard-hitting content you guys are here for. I know.
Exactly. So here it is. So there we go. I'm looking at this stuff. I'm like, okay, that's a hat, that's a necklace, that's a towel, that's weights. This stuff I'm gonna need some assistance with. So I'm like,
okay. Click on that pink makeup. What is that? Blush?
It could be. Let's see. There we go.
Oh yeah.
Blush.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and that's a good one because it's the Charlotte Tilbury is it won't
good
clog your
brand.
pores.
Yep,
Oh, yeah.
Good brand. She's got good
Nice
taste.
color. Yeah.
There we go.
Okay, what's this?
I'm out of my league here on this stuff. What do we got here? All right. We got
yeah, I mean it's winter,
yeah.
it's
Healthy
snowing.
glows.
She needs to
Yes.
she's
Yeah.
gonna be on camera. She needs to look healthy.
Yeah.
A little built-in bronzer there.
Moisturizing.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You have to be
Right,
careful with those, that you wash your hands really well or use some type of like makeup brush to put it on, because otherwise then it dyes your hands a little orange and not a good
Good to
look.
know.
Yeah.
Good to
There
know.
we go.
Done that.
All right, next up we got, let's see. I mean, you guys are going to have to explain what this is. I don't
Oh,
know what
yeah.
this is. Or
Setting spray. So it'll keep the makeup there and last longer, and it makes it look
Yeah.
like primed and finished, like for her
Okay,
glow.
there we go. There we go. All right, the next one I'll talk about. All right, we have weights here. This I know all about. Weightlifting here. This is good stuff. This I can tell you guys all about. I can even give you guys a tutorial on how to use these. You got 5-pound weights, 10-pound weights, 15-pound weights, 25-pound weights, 30-pound weights. This stuff I understand. This is something I understand, so that's good. I feel good now. I feel redeemed.
And just a
Perfect.
side
But
note on
yep,
the
Kelsey
weight.
had. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, just a side note on the weight. Like for mental health, you know,
Yeah.
working out and all of that is so important.
Yeah.
And so that is, I mean, my goodness,
Yeah.
how much that can help her, you know, her mental health and staying
Right.
focused. And, you know, she's got to take that outlet somewhere, you know, and so in being a very fit person, to take her outlet off of somewhere positive, it would be amazing.
Absolutely. I agree with that as well. Exercising is important. And even for someone like myself, you know, I find that, you know, being a walker, you know, it's good to like walk on a treadmill, you know, bike if you need to indoors. But again, for Kelsey, she can't get to a gym right now. She can't, you know, go outside, you know, past a certain, I don't know how far she can venture, but you know, it's not very far. So having that in-home equipment is extremely important. And not only that, it's, you know, during the winter, it's very tough as well. And, you know, you just want to keep exercising and staying in the best shape you can, which is also important for her when she's recovering on a health level as well, to have the level of exercise that she needs. So that's all important stuff. So these items are good here. You know, a couple items here. There's some buying options for the hats as well, which is good for her and to help Kelsey out. So again, you know, if you want to buy an item for her, Amazon has a list. There's also a Giftful list as well that is available. It has some other items on that. I'm going to bring that up right now. And let's see what we got here. So we have some jackets, boots. This one's requiring a security check. But this is a Welcome Kelsey Home, a Giftful collection here. Also hoodies, as well as a dumbbell set. I'm not sure if that's the same one or different, but there's a dumbbell set there. And then this one, I'll probably need Lauren or Emily to explain what this does because I don't know. I'll enhance it. Sorry, let me get that.
Body cream?
Could be.
Oh, yeah. You got to have lotion. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Mazza, I feel like if you don't know what lotion is, like maybe you need to purchase that for yourself too, because everybody's skin in the winter gets dry and you need to keep yourself hydrated inside and out.
Right.
And remember, you know, she's spent over 100 days in prison.
Yeah.
If we can't help shower her with the few items that she is requesting, you know, come on, this girl deserves it and more. So.
Absolutely. All right. So the links to those pages are in the description. Now I'm told here that both the Giftful page and the Amazon.com page, these are the only fundraising mechanisms guaranteed to go directly to Kelsey. So once you purchase those will be sent her way so you can help her. Those are the items. Those are great items for her and help her out. And any way you can, that would be fantastic. And we'll take a look at the fundraiser total here, see where we are at. And looks like we got some more donations coming in. Thank you guys so much. And I'll get a total here for you guys momentarily. All right, let's take a look. We are now at $120 is our new total. And that's great news. $120 helps out. Every bit helps. That's what we keep saying to ourselves is it doesn't matter what the level is. This is contributing to Kelsey Fitzsimmons' fundraising total to help her physically, to help her recover, obviously, and then also to help her with any kind of levels of defense funds. And she's represented by Tim Bradle as well as Martha Coakley, former Attorney General here in the state of Massachusetts. And I'll tell you, it was great to see her walk out of that place on Tuesday. I believe it was Tuesday night. Yeah, it was Monday was the SJC ruling, and Tuesday was the release, right? If I get my dates right now. The week's gone by so quick. I'm totally lost. Yeah, exactly. So no, it was
What
great
day
to
is it
see.
today? Like, what,
I know exactly.
where are
Sunday?
we?
Exactly.
Yeah.
What year
This
is
is
it?
the time of year that like doesn't count. Like between Christmas
Yeah.
and New Year's is like
Yes.
this isn't real time. Nothing
Yeah.
counts
Right.
during this time.
Right. We're just existing right now, and that's
Mm.
exactly what's happening. I am. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say also seeing Bradle's reaction when she walked out was like so heartwarming. Like you want to know that that she's being represented by somebody who like has her best interest at heart, and you could really that picture right there, you could really
Yeah.
feel that like
This is her stepfather, William. That Law Girls Not Attorneys
Ah.
just confirmed that's her stepfather, William. That
Hi,
just posted in the chat
William.
there.
Hi,
Yep.
William.
Oh,
Great to
that's
hear.
so great. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he feels the same way where it's like seeing how like lit up Bradle was just watching her walk out. You could really feel that like she's in good hands, and that like she's being represented by somebody who not only is like concerned about the legal side, but who really cares about her as a person, and really like wants what's best for her. And that just feels good to see.
Yeah, and he was kind of hit with some criticism, was Tim Bradle, this past week. But the more I understood about the process, the more I was all, because I didn't know like the full ins and outs, because when I saw the letter come out about her being cleared in November, I was initially like, well, why didn't they do that? Well, I guess what happens is once you appeal to the SJC, you can't retract that without like a level of consequence, meaning, essentially it could make you look bad at the SJC. You might not be able to file that again. So once that SJC was filed, and they had some other things layered in there as well, obviously, with that filing. Once it's in there, they have to wait that out. So even if she was able to do it as far back as November, that's what comes there. So the more I learned about it, the more I kind of understood the process. I try to wait and get a full understanding, but there was some comments, not necessarily people like trying to be negative. I think it was just people asking questions as to why were these particular steps taken, what was the strategy here. But the more I did some research on it quite a bit to get a better understanding. I'm like, okay, I see what happens. You just can't downshift on that SJC appeal, because if you do, it's whatever. Which brings me to the judge, who seemed to kind of take advantage of that particular scenario. Well, Mr. Bradle, I could have let her out a month ago. Well, I thought that was kind of, a lot of people thought that was low. What were your reactions to that? Lauren, do you want to go?
Yeah, I would love to go. I think she was just protecting her ass, to be honest, because to put it blank. And I think she's gonna take cheap shots at Bradle because he was opposing her decision, and how dare him. But she was ultimately protecting her ass. And also, like, sure, they could have vacated that and thrown it out, but then guess who they would have had to put all their eggs in one basket with McCarthy? Who would want to do that? Because
Right.
she's been so reasonable with this whole thing. She could have absolutely said no. And then they would have been like, well, we should have stuck with waiting on our appeal. Also, in the appeal, they had numerous things that were stated in there, one of which I believe was trying to get her off of the case. And so
Yeah.
I completely
Right.
see why they wanted to go forth with this. And as you can see with the timing, Bradle had everything lined up for when and if they said no, it was immediate emergency hearing. So,
Yeah.
McCarthy was trying to save her own self.
Yeah. I'll go to you, Emily.
I was just going to add to that. It does seem like Kelsey is looped in with her team, and I don't know how much of a part of like the decision-making process she's been, but she doesn't seem like they're making these big decisions without her. So if it had been, if they had a move earlier where it was like, okay, we could do this, but then we would have to go back to McCarthy name. And it does seem like Kelsey was looped into those decisions and knew that, kind of knew what was coming And that feels good to know, like, this wasn't just happening to her, but that she was a part of the decision-making process in terms of the legal decisions.
Right. I agree with that as well. And, it's similar to Karen Reed. They're actively discussing things I'm more than sure, and they're looking over different strategies. And I think a lot of it just goes back to that judge initially, just having her. I mean, that's the issue I have when you look at, why am I going blank on his name right now? They just got jail there. They just had the trial. Why am I going blank? I forget his name. Looks like Andy Garcia. Brian Walsh. You look at the judge in that case. Yeah, I already went blank. You look at that judge.
Judge Frenier.
Frenier, fresh, fair and impartial, throughout that entire trial. No favoritism to one side or the other. But you look at her comparatively to Beverly Cannoni, it's like, oh my Lord, she's favoring the prosecution. You've read the sidebars, Emily. The sidebars as good as anybody. You've not only read them, you've relived them with
lived them. Being Lally is a lot.
I bet.
I can imagine.
I bet
it is exhausting.
Yes.
Lally must just be exhausted every day going to bed being Lally.
Yeah. Now we know why he looked exhausted. Just being him was hard.
I can just picture him at brushing his. It's time to brush his teeth. How many, if any, teeth should I brush before I go to bed tonight? What, if any, floss should I use?
Oh my gosh.
If anywhere is my mouthwash?
Even in Brian Walsh's case, the ADA, Greg Connor, it felt like he was even not impartial because he was prosecuting Brian Walsh, but he felt very much like he was not trying to pull a fast one over anybody. He was like, to the point that even at the end of his opening statements, he was like, so you're going to hear like a whole bunch of Google searches like this. He searched that, like, how to chop up my wife and all these crazy searches. And he was like, but, keep an open mind and whatever you decide is fine with me. And it was like, you don't want to go a little bit harder, but
right.
That felt reassuring to see that, like, at least there's some people in my district that like are just in
ethical?
It for, that are just like going by the letter of the law and are doing their job as it was intended. And I'm at least glad to know they exist.
I think that was the one who they originally wanted to do the second trial, if I'm not mistaken, and he said no. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure the chat will, but he's, I think, got a good reputation in that county.
Yeah,
we'll have to wait.
Always, you mean ADA Con? They wanted, they asked Connor to do it, and he said no so. Because he, I don't know, like, that's just I don't know that from anything other than like the rumor mill, but it's the rumor mill that I heard was that they presented it to Connor, and he said no way, like, I'm not. This is shady. And so, I mean, really the play then would have been like, oh, let's drop it. But instead they were like, let's spend $1 million and get Hank.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, Hank, he's like, you know what? I'll take that $500,000 he got paid. He was more than willing to take that. It's like, my goodness gracious. It's, it's just unbelievable the way they'll dole out money like that. And I think that's what is important about funding Kelsey, is that when you look at Karen Reed, Michael Morrissey's complaint going into that second trial was that they're uncommonly well funded. Well, if that's the case, then why try her a second time? But it's the same thing with Kelsey. I think that the more we fund her, the more we donate to her, the more we help her, the more opportunity we give her and her defense team to have the ability to take on, a case that's going to be, I mean, it's put this way. Anytime you're defending yourself, it's always an uphill battle, regardless of the situation. Doesn't matter if you're Karen, Aiden Carney, Kelsey Fitzsimmons, anybody else. It's always going to be this uphill climb, nonetheless, where you're going to have to spend the money. You're going to have to be as financed as possible. And it doesn't help when, in all of these cases, there seems to be a collective attitude coming down. There's a level of lack of, impartialness. We're seeing that with Judge Naaman McCarthy. You see that Tim Bradel obviously doesn't want anything to do with her in terms of taking her on, because it's not a matter of fearing her. It's just a matter of it's hard to have a judge oversee something when you're not agreeing with their rulings, such as sending, quote unquote, my client to jail because she can't do a scram test when you can easily mandate something. It's not that she refused to do it. It's that basically you don't like the fact that she physically can't do it. So send her to jail with the justification that she's a threat to society, which you can't even breathe into a breathalyzer at this time. It's a tough thing to justify from the judge's perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's so many things that rattle me with this case, and just the judge's everything, her demeanor, how personal it seems. I think there'll be some things to come out that make more sense, but I really hope that she is not going to be the one that is presiding over the actual trial, but we shall see. But either way, Kelsey needs support and funds, and that's the best that we can help with.
Absolutely. I actually wanted to say one thing. There was a question asked to me on X earlier tonight. I'm not sure if anybody knows this. People were asking about how to write to Kelsey now. That was a question that came up because we used to, obviously, since she's been removed from prison, thankfully, letters used to go there. So people were asking tonight, I'm not sure if anybody knows this, where they can send those.
On that Giftful page that you just had pulled up, the second one, not the Amazon, but the Giftful, there was a P.O. box address at the top of that.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, there was. P.O. Box 16 or whatever it was. Let me take a look at that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Let's double check. Let's see. There's an updated P.O. box I saw on Reading. Law Girl Not Attorneys is saying, P.O. Box 16, let's welcome home, replace things taken from her. P.O. Box 16, Reading, Mass. So I guess that's it. The only thing is I don't want to have people start mailing it there if that's only a delivery address only. That's my only concern.
Also, you could probably also call Bradel's office and they would be able to tell you. Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to. I'm afraid I'm going to defer people. They're going to be, Mazza, what did you do? That's all right. No, but that address is probably more than likely it, Emily. I agree with you. That's probably more than likely it. So actually, Jenna was talking to Courtney right now and asking, so we'll get that. The stepfather is tuning in tonight, so he might be able to contribute if he's here. We'll wait on the responses, but that, like Emily said, that appears to be it. We'll stand by. Going into trial, I'm going to go with Emily, if you don't mind. What are your thoughts on preparing a case for her defense in terms of the bedroom incident with the he said, she said? What do you think would be proof beyond a reasonable doubt going on?
I mean, this is outside of
your realm. Yeah.
But what I have learned from the Karen Reed trial is that reasonable doubt is more important to really hammer home to the jury instead of like proof, period. And I think the idea that his story was not like possible, like if that is true, that they have, you couldn't have, you said here you went behind the door, she went behind the door, whatever it was.
Right.
And I think that the line that Noonan said Noonan said that he said to Kelsey, like, don't do it, Kelsey, didn't match what the police officer downstairs said that he had heard. And so I think just poking holes in his story and showing that his memory of the incident, for whatever reason, trauma or lying or nefarious reasons or not, was not accurate to what happened, I think would make sense to me as a juror.
Yeah, I think so too. I think there's enough. Well, I think like one of the big things is that if you can get them to testify that people are saying, do not call Bradel's office. That's the people just warning people in the comments. Yeah, it's just things people want people to know. So yeah, we don't want to start sending people in the wrong direction either. And Tim's going to be like, Mazza, what have you done? Was that Tim? I'm sorry. I am sorry. He's like,
Just
Mazza, what have
trying
you
to
done?
help.
That's all right. That's all right. That's all right. Mazza is like, well, let's just slide this time, but not any further. Okay. Jenna was going to find out what we can do for that potential mailing address because that was asked. People were wondering. So we'll figure it out. Before we make anything conclusive, don't start writing letters till we get some official word, people. Everyone's going to be like, Mazza, come on. All right. So I was going to say this. I think that overall, the biggest thing that can be argued in trial might be the fact that why did you say, some people saying don't write the letters to judges either. I'm seeing what the Ocean Beach keeps writing to me. MazzaMedia judges in charge of the calendar. She had off that day and came in for the hearing. She put herself back on case for the trial, according to Michael O'Brien. Okay. All right. Let's see here. We set up P.O. Box so people wouldn't show up here at our house. Hope you all understand. So there you go, folks.
Yes, we understand.
Right.
Definitely.
Exactly.
That was a
Okay,
good move.
perfect. All right. I just want to make sure. I don't want to be causing people contacting them more than they should. I don't want to be like, Mazza, what have you done? But we set up a P.O. Box so people wouldn't show up here at our house. Hope you all understand. Yes, and that's a big thing too, folks.
Don't show up at their house.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Weird.
Just, respecting
Just be
privacy.
helpful.
Yeah. Respecting privacy is a huge thing. It's like anything, Karen Reed family as well. They're going through a lot. And we don't want to start to, badger more than we should. So we respect the family, of course. Also, he says, Kelsey is here and says hi to everybody. Hi, Kelsey.
Hi, Kelsey.
Thank you for all your support.
Aw.
She couldn't have done it without you all. That's awesome. And that's what it is. A total group effort. A lot of people are showing interest in helping Kelsey, and we'll continue to help out Kelsey any way we can. And
Sending virtual hugs to you, Kelsey.
Exactly. We'll have people drop purple hearts in the chat too for Kelsey, which is popping in right now. And that's her stepfather. Thank you, Will, for giving us some more information. We appreciate that, sir. Thank you. And again, we always want to respect their privacy and everything to help the family out in the most respectful manner possible. People saying, hello, Kelsey. Hello, Kelsey. A lot of purple hearts coming in here right now. Great stuff here. Stacy Lynn with a lot of purple hearts. All these messages to Kelsey right now. A lot of supporters, a lot of people eager to help her out, and a lot of people are thankful with her being home. Oh, a whole bunch of them just came out. There we go. Run them through them here. Get everybody a second on the screen here if I can. There we go. Beautiful. Look at that one right there. Wow. Stay strong, Kelsey. Many purple hearts. All right. A lot of purple hearts on the screen. We'll get a couple of these played on the screen for you guys so Kelsey can see this at home. And there we are. Kelsey is a hero. I agree. More purple hearts. Turtles there. We got some shout out Turtle Boy love there as well. And I was like, oh, someone got some turtles in for Turtle Boy. There we go. There we go. Turtle Boy love. Butterflies. All right, that'll be good. I get the point across.
That comment that just scrolled by too. Justice for Caden too, because this baby is not being taken into consideration by Justin on any stretch of the imagination. So justice for Caden as well. Let's
go into that topic, Lauren. Would you like to kind of go into that further? I think that's an important topic that we discuss as well.
Yeah. I don't know if you want me to start with it because I don't have very good opinions of him whatsoever. But for a father who had a baby with Kelsey, had a wedding being planned, and something that we found out after Kelsey was thrown into jail, Kelsey also was pregnant with their second baby. And that was, from my understanding, a lot to do with Justin really couldn't wait to have another baby and to grow their family. So to me, that really just undermines every single thing he has said about Kelsey and who she is. And unfortunately, due to all of the trauma that Kelsey was put through, she ended up losing that baby. But it goes through, it just wipes out everything that he says. There is literally no credibility in my mind. And then to do that to your son, to take his mother completely away from him. Listen, there are all kinds of custody battles that go on every single day, and some of them get nasty. But to want to have your child taken and have no, no visitation whatsoever is insane. Not only that, to the grandparents, to not let the grandparents see, their grandchild, it speaks volumes of the type of person that he is. And then to, put all these filings forth as to why he's justifying why the grandparents can't see them.
Yeah.
He is a nasty individual. And I'll just keep it there for now.
Yeah. It is, I'll transition to Emily in a moment. Yeah, it is a tough situation. And, my perspective on this too is that this whole situation should be nothing more than a battle for custody, or a battle for whatever needs to be done to ensure that both sides get to see that child at the worst. And that gets me back to just my biggest frustration with all this is the police and their handling of this situation, which frustrates me because it shouldn't escalate into a shootout. It shouldn't escalate into Kelsey going to jail, now going on trial, when this situation should have been handled a lot better. And I don't think that they protected Kelsey. I don't think they even protected themselves all that well.
No.
And I don't think they protected all parties involved, quite honestly. And I think the situation got way out of hand. And it put everyone in a circumstance where, Kelsey's going to react. And postpartum depression, obviously. But again, you're also taking a child away from a mother unexpectedly. You're entering the house. You're taking the child, and it's you look at any mother on the face of this earth, there's going to be an emotional reaction. That gets you back to so many things. DCF, why weren't they involved? Why wasn't at least a female police officer involved? These are things that really, to me, make me ask a lot of questions. And I think that's why so many people feel very confident in their theories that they believe that the fix was in. And really, Kelsey's, putting Kelsey in the worst situation possible was also being implemented here. And that's why so many, you ask certain people, like I said, it's either one thing or the other. This is either a very big conspiracy from all levels, and it means beyond what Justin wanted with the RO, or this is just a major situation that got spiraled out of control so quickly because of bad policing. It's either one or the other, or a combination of both. But either way, this situation should have been managed so much more differently. It should just be essentially Kelsey versus Justin in a court of law in a child custody battle. That's where that should have been the absolute limit of all of this. And that's where I look back at the cops and say, guys, how you manage the situation. You want to say, oh, Kelsey lied about the location of the firearms. Well, if that's so, why did you not first locate those firearms? And in terms of defending Kelsey in court, creating reasonable doubt, I want to know why an officer said, Kelsey, don't do it, as if he was insinuating she was attempting to commit suicide, as opposed to Kelsey put down the firearm, which would have insinuated she had attempted to live fire on him. And those are the situations that I look at and say, to me, there's your reasonable doubt right there. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see how Tim Bradel and Martha Coakley craft their defense. And I'm really looking forward to that particular argument being made, because they can get someone in the stand saying, did you say, quote unquote, Kelsey, don't do it? And then with the Tom Cruise, A Few Good Men, what did you mean when you said don't do it? I remember Tom Cruise saying that in the question, like, you don't know where the mess hall is? You mean the whole time you've been on base, you don't know where the mess hall is? It's just kind of like that scenario as an attorney where it's like, why would you say don't do it? Don't do what? Have you ever in your whole life as an officer ever been trained to say don't do it when someone's trying to fire at you? Or would you say don't do it when someone's trying to jump to their death or hurt themselves? Those are the times you'd probably say that. And those are the things that make me really frustrated, because I just see this thing keep leveling up and up and up. And then here's Coffee Cake in the comments with another point that I didn't even say it, because there's so many points. Why were there no body cams when the North Andover Police Department had the funding? They had more than sufficient amounts of money to do that. And at the end of the day, why were there no body cams? It's just like the Karen Reed case. The Karen Reed case could have been solved immediately if there was ring footage anywhere around that neighborhood. They would have seen a body getting dragged out. They would have never saw Karen hit anybody, and it would have been, that's it. It's another situation here. No cameras. And it gets down to the situation where it's like, hey, can you prove that she did this? Because again, I just find it very, very rare that she would have attempted to fire on a fellow officer, and then that firearm happens to click because it jams. Those firearms do not jam often. If they do, it's few and far between. But when you have a situation where Kelsey is very confident in her statement that she was openly ready to admit, yes, I did hold a firearm. I turned it on myself. I was, to some degree, she might have said, I'm feeling suicidal at that particular time. She was open about that. It's just, I don't know. It's a tough situation. But when you look at everything, beyond the fiance aspect of this, beyond Justin, it just goes so far out of control. And I really do put a lot of blame on that police department for this. I really do think that they either conspired, and if they didn't conspire, then they didn't do a very good job of handling the situation. It's quite depressing, quite honestly, because Kelsey Fitzsimmons was shot. She was nearly killed. And we talk about the fact that it's sad that Kelsey can't see her baby, but imagine a worse scenario. Imagine a scenario in which Kelsey was murdered or shot dead on that scene. And this child now who hasn't seen its mother in a long time, now would never have an opportunity to see her mother again. Because that officer fired 2 shots, both could have connected. It could have been right directly in the center of the heart, but a fatal wound. This situation was out of control. And it looks like Jeno here is confirming the mailing address. I know she's been speaking on the side with an attorney, a paralegal for Courtney, for Kelsey, and was able to, it looks like Kelsey Fitzsimmons, P.O. Box 16, Reading, Mass. 01867. As the address you can send letters to. That appears to be confirmed. Thank you, Jeno. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jeno.
Yep, absolutely. I'm going to get another number check on donations. And Emily, I'm going to defer to you to do some talking, if you don't mind.
Well, I just wanted to say for Kelsey, I know that going like into battle with somebody like Justin, as we can like kind of read him from afar, as strong as she feels most of the time, there can be those moments where you're like laying in bed at night and you're thinking like, oh my gosh, like, did I deserve this, or did whatever, like, is he right? That's how like gaslighters impact people. And I want her to know that we all see the type of person that he is, like the way that he went after the proceeds of the sale of her house. Like that is not a normal thing to do. That is not somebody who deserves even a second of feeling like that his words and anything he's ever said to you mean anything in real reality. And this is somebody who's like living in an alternate universe where he's like the best person in the world, and we all see him clearly. And I just want her to know that. I also want her to know that it can feel, and I've even seen some like comments in the chat that like this creates like a lifelong impact on her son. But I want her to know that there are kids that are separated from their parents for a significant amount of time for a number of reasons. A parent is sick and in the hospital. A parent goes off to war. A parent is for hundreds of reasons can't see their child for a period of time, and that ultimately it doesn't need to impact your relationship with your son and his relationship with you. And that this feels like such a long period of time in this moment, but you guys are going to have a long, happy life together. And this will eventually one day kind of feel like a blip on the radar. And it's just something to get through that will then make your relationship stronger when you finally are able to be together. And we're not going to stop until you are able to be together. So you have us in your corner until that moment comes.
Yeah, Emily, you just gave me chills. Like it was so well said, and it's so accurate. Having worked for like DCF and everything like that, to be able to reunify a family, that is the most wonderful thing. And that baby is going to pick up right where you left off with his mom, and he's not going to remember that. He really isn't. He's going to remember all the good stuff that is coming his way. And Justin is delusional if he thinks he's getting full custody. Absolutely delulu. So that's not happening. And he's going to love you so much, because he's going to know when he gets older how much you went through and how much you fought for him. And like I said, Justin's not doing himself any favors, because children are very smart. And no, you're going to get your baby back very soon. And like Emily said, this is all going to be but a blip, and it's going to make you so much stronger and even a better mother that you didn't even think you could be. So and we are here to see it and support you until the end. So yep.
Yeah. He really showed his hand with that the proceeds of the house motion, because it was like, oh, you really think like you had this one power play and you like ran off with the kid, and now you think that everything that Kelsey's ever had is yours. Like, no, that's not a real man. That is a joke.
Yeah. Imagine being that, having the audacity to think you're deserved someone else's home. Like, are you kidding me? Get out of here. Like, she worked hard for that. That is hers. Your name is nowhere on it. Sit down. Like,
thank goodness.
Absolutely not.
Good move, Kelsey.
Yes.
Right.
Very smart of her. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's unfortunate that people like Karen, Kelsey, others have to go through such a level of endurance just to have a life that is the life that they already had. Where takeaways start to happen. You look at Karen's life, how altered it is. You look at Kelsey, how altered her life, the whole trajectory of her life, was changed. Can't see her kid, is dealing with wound recovery. This whole thing is now it's you gave birth to this kid. Now you have to some degree fight through every means necessary to get that child, at least at the very end of the day, no worse than joint custody. I would say, worst case, and you have to fight for these things that should rightfully be yours without any fight at all. And it's just very terrible that people have to go through that. And I think that's why it's so important for us as human beings to find people like Kelsey, Karen, other people out there and support them that are going through situations where, John O'Keefe was murdered. We helped Karen. You look at what's happening here with Kelsey being shot and having her child, not even her parents, they can't even see the kid without going through the legal means to do so. It's a very sickening situation to watch people go through. And I think that we all have an opportunity to continue to find people like this and support these individuals, raise money for them, donate to them, help them any way we can. Many people will hold a sign, they'll have a standout, they'll post about it on social media and spread awareness. And I think all of these are important ways of helping people out there because someone like Kelsey doesn't deserve this. And other parties, I've had people on X that have said negative things about Kelsey. And, at the end of the day, they have their right to their opinion, and so do I. And I think they're wrong. I don't think Kelsey deserves this at all. I've heard situations where people will say they badmouth that person. That's your opinion. That's fine. But at the end of the day, don't tell me that Kelsey in any way, shape, or form did anything to deserve this, and that this is anything but. This is, quite frankly, straight out something she doesn't deserve. Yeah. And this whole process of the child custody battle, whatever it was, should have never gone down this avenue. It should have been done by another legal means to have this all squared away in an organized fashion. But essentially ambushing her in her own house and having her, I just think of the scene. I'm sorry. I think of the scene in Labyrinth where Jennifer Connelly's in the bedroom with the little brother and David Bowie shows up. And the next thing you know, the kid's gone. And then she looks out the window and there's the labyrinth. It's like a maze. And she's going to go through all that just to get her brother back. I just think of that scene in that movie. That's to some degree what this feels like. It's suddenly a kid's taken away. Now you got to go to war to get your kid back. And Kelsey's obviously a great mother and is going to fight that battle to no end as any great mother would. but it just makes me, I remember watching that scene in that movie when I was a kid. My cousin showed me that movie. I just thought it was so sickening, to see that kid kidnapped in that movie. But that's to some degree what this feels like. It just feels like this is not the process. This is not appropriate. Nobody should ever be placed in this particular situation. I think that's why there's a level of outrage. I think that's why you have over $62,000 now donated to her GiveSendGo, which will one day surpass $100,000 without question, because this is exactly what we're seeing here. Is a scenario that is not fair to her, and that just makes me sick to my stomach. And I think our goal is to write a course any way we can. If that's supporting Kelsey, great. If that's financially supporting her, fantastic. If that's holding signs, whatever we got to do, we're going to do that. And we've seen our effectiveness. Many of us were Karen Reed supporters. Many of us out there are Turtle Boy supporters. Many of us out there have supported other individuals out there as well. And we've seen the progress. We've seen charges come off the table, be dismissed. Karen Reed outright acquitted with the DUI charge left on the table. And unfortunately, Kelsey's going to have to fight this out. But you know what? The good news is we're going to be there to fight alongside her and help her out and give her that support that she needs. And I know Kelsey is going to be like Karen. She's going to be someone who fights, someone that's ready to take on this challenge. It's going to just say, you know what? I accept what's happened here. I don't like it. I don't think it's fair, but I'm going to take these steps. And when I see her walking out of that courthouse this past week with that level of confidence, that level of positivity, the same level of confidence she had 3 months ago, I should mention, she is extremely ready for this day to come and is extremely ready to battle this thing out as long as it takes, and any great mother would. So I'll leave Lauren, Emily, whomever's next up to speak to that point. I needed my little rant tonight.
Yeah, no, that was great. Yeah, it was a good one. And also we have to remember too, all the public has is what Justin has put out there. So that's what the SJC, the single justice, everyone is going on, is his self-serving statement. So when the day comes when she goes into trial, get ready, because there's going to be things that no one knew. And all I have to say too is go ahead, Justin, keep writing those really lovely reply briefs via your attorney and making snarky comments about the grandparents and all of that, because it only shows that you're in this for yourself and not for your son. It shows the selfishness of your actions. So go ahead, you're not doing yourself any favors, but please keep it up. It's only going to help Kelsey.
And he felt like his actions before the event, like in his filing, in whatever that first one was called, didn't match his words. So he's like, I was so fearful, blah, blah, blah. But then it's like, then it was like weeks before anything happened. Like you were fearful, but then you saw that there was nothing to be afraid of. So now I really don't believe, like, that's where at the very beginning, I was kind of separating like the family court stuff from like what happened post Kelsey being shot, because to me it was like, custody battles are messy. There's probably 3 sides to the story. There's like my side, your side, and the truth. And that wasn't really like on us. I had said before, like that was kind of for like their friends group chat to be like, whoa, did you hear what happened? And for like, that was just like gossip between friends. And then once she got shot, then that was like the piece that pulled all of us in. But now it's kind of like, well, looking back at that original, like the original filing that he went through to remove the baby from her, it's like, you said all these buzzwords that make it sound like you were worried about the safety of your child, but then none of that actually matched up with your actions. And even if you had been worried, you had enough time in between to see like, oh, I was worried, but now there's really nothing to be worried about. So that really, like, to me, is where his credibility just went down the drain. And now, like you just said, Lauren, like I can't wait to hear Kelsey's side of the story, because we have only heard one side. And And Mazza, I also just need you to know that I don't know any movies. So every single time you do a movie reference, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay.
I've
All
literally
right.
seen like 10
That's
movies, but they always
Okay.
sound very good and apply exactly to
Right.
what we're talking about. But
Right.
I've seen like 10 movies in my entire life.
We're going to break into
You
our
should
new
know
segment.
that.
What 10 movies has Emily C. seen? That's our next segment right here. We're closing in almost $500, ladies and gentlemen. This is great. No, I didn't realize that. Labyrinth, I've only seen that once or twice. I was scared of David Bowie when I was a kid. My cousins, I had older cousins. They were always showing me movies I just wasn't ready to see. But no. I just think of that scene because it's a horrible situation. Now, what I thought was interesting was how ready to move on to the next step Martha Coakley and Tim Bradle were this past week. When they took the questions outside from everybody, they're like, we're just going to move on. We're pushing past it. You know, what's happened has happened, but we're kind of driving towards that next step. I think that's really good from the defense team. Martha Coakley in the state of Massachusetts, politics aside, was attorney general. That's a high level to obtain in the state of any state for that matter, an attorney general. But they seem very well prepared. They know what they want to focus on. They also had Kelsey. They obviously must have prepped her briefly, I'm guessing, before she stepped outside. They kind of knew what, as soon as certain questions were asked, they were going to really just gatekeep what questions she answered, whatnot. That's a great way to protect your client. You want to give them the ability to speak. Alan Jackson, David Denny with Karen Reed, same thing. Allow them to speak to a certain level, but also just hold down any other thing. Because, as a person, you might just say things you don't know, but they just try to protect their client, make some comments, etc. But I thought they did a very good job of that. They let Kelsey speak. I think Kelsey also, like Karen, showed that relatability. I think when you look at some people that are accused of crimes, sometimes you listen to them and you're just like, nah, I'm just not feeling it. I think this person's is guilty of what they're accused of. And I'll just say this, with Brian Walsh, I just always felt like he was someone that did that. With Karen Reed, I just always felt like she was somebody that was innocent. With Kelsey, I just feel like she's someone that's telling the truth. I don't see any reason why she would have to lie about anything. And I think that one of the things that shines through with Kelsey is I think that there's that level of vibrance and brightness. I also see a level of confidence and balance and certainty in her eyes. The truth's going to come out, like she said several months ago. When she came out of that courthouse, going home to decorate her tree, have some sushi, just relatable stuff. And some people might say those are all tactics, but I disagree. And even if they were tactics, nonetheless, you still just can't fake being a legitimate person, someone that's legitimately sharing your personality, who you are, your belief in your own innocence. And I see that with Kelsey. I see someone that's very much accepted the situation, is ready to take it on, and knows that the truth is on her side, and that's going to prevail. And it will be a battle. It's going to be a battle, but there's going to be a lot of victories to come here. And Lauren, I think you're ready to talk again. I can see you.
No, I'm just saying,
Okay.
She's a warrior.
Yeah.
I can't imagine, myself spending over 100 days in jail and coming out smiling, looking that gorgeous without makeup on. I just, like, she is a warrior. And, you have to understand some of that comes from her training and being a police officer, but obviously her mental state is in a better spot than it was. So, all of this is temporary, and this is the first step to being reunified with her child, and it's going to happen. And what an amazing day that will be.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. That's going to be huge.
The fact that she looks that beautiful coming right from jail into court shows me how stupid Justin is.
Right? I know.
There's your proof right there that this man is just doesn't have his head on straight.
100%. 100%.
Checking the GiveSendGo. We're closing in on $500. We are $15 away. $15 away from hitting.
And also, just something with that. I know we've all, just had Christmas and things are probably tight, but also Kelsey had to sell her house. I'm imagining most of the funds that her family has are going towards helping Kelsey's defense fund right now. So any little bit, it doesn't matter how small, is going to make a huge impact on this family and on Kelsey right now.
Yeah.
You know, I can't imagine not having your son there for Christmas and all of that. I'm sure that they made the very best of it. But you know, just if we can reach into our pockets and give just a little bit, it is greatly appreciated, and all of that adds up. So it's a big deal for these individuals who are being unjustly, you know, attacked by this Commonwealth, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just, it makes me say, like I said, I hate to see people have to fight through so much. And that takes me back to the judge again, which was, again, under no circumstances should she have been placed in jail at any point in time. But yet here we are. We just watched her spend, what, 100 days, over 100 days of her life. It was September 11th, I think she went back, and she just got out 5 days ago, roughly. That's insanity. That's a lot of your time. Like I said, it's bad enough, everything else that's happened. When we saw her in that orange jumpsuit at that Zoom, that doesn't really immediately show you what you don't see, what only you can envision and imagine. But when you see her in that orange suit, it's like, this is horrible. This is, I mean, it brings the reality of the situation right to the forefront. It says, see, this is her set of circumstances. This is what she's dealing with. Someone that got shot and as a result couldn't complete a scram test. And I think that's the number one reason to say, you know, what's going on in this state? Why is it going on? Why is it happening? And, you know, how long is this going to continue? And why do we have a judge that I feel like is just willing to do that to somebody with the power and responsibility? This judge knows her set of circumstances, knows it all. And it's, I just checked the numbers, Sarah. I have it at the same amount. Right now, I'll check to see if anything comes in a second. If not, double check to see if that donation went through. But I look at, why would this judge in good conscience say, hey, look, you're a threat to the community, you're going to jail? Under what circumstances? And what has she done prior to this alleged set of circumstances? What has happened that in any way, shape, or form is going to say, hey, go to jail? Spend 100 days in jail, no problem. 1 second. Just the GiveSendGo is big. I'll let someone take over for a second. I'm just verifying something. I apologize.
I was just going to say, even before that, like, imagining a scene where the person who is shot is the one who's leaving in handcuffs.
Yeah, right.
Like, those are, to me, I've been saying this about Karen Reed too. Like, to me, this is bigger than each individual case. It's like a commentary on like the system that I live in, and I pay taxes to this system that is operating in a way that doesn't feel, it's like, I don't know the actual like text of the law, and I don't understand everything about how it applies to every situation, but I can just look at a situation and say, like, this doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like somebody should be able to walk into your house, take your baby and shoot you and then put you in jail. Like, that's not a system that I want to contribute to live in, to condone, to be okay with. And I think a lot of us feel like that. It's like, I was a kindergarten teacher, and when I was teaching my students, I'm not teaching them like, this is right because X, Y, and Z. It's just kind of like, this is like the right thing to do because it's the right thing to do. This is the wrong thing to do because it's the wrong thing to do. And you can just feel it in your gut, like what's right and wrong. And like, the way that Kelsey has been treated in every single like juncture of her journey so far has just felt like it's a system that is abusing its power, and that if we're not paying attention to it and we're not talking about it and we're not publicizing what they're doing, then they get away with that. And when bad people get away with things, and when bad systems get away with things, they continue doing it, and they double down on it, and it gets worse and worse. And there were probably rulings and decisions that happened prior to Kelsey's that were like a little bit bad, but not bad enough to garner like this much attention. And they were able to kind of like spiral and to get stronger and to get more bold in the way that they make these like unjust decisions. And it has to stop.
Yeah.
Like we have laws for a reason. We have rules for a reason. We have systems in place for a reason. And if we can't trust that the people in power have some type of like moral compass and some type of morality governing the choices that they're making, then they shouldn't have power anymore.
Yeah.
That's right.
And that's my concern too, is that we just surpassed $600, by the way. $605 is actually the new total. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're looking good. All right, I love it. All right, that looks good. Great job, everybody. $605. Yeah, that's the issue I have, is that it appears like when you look at, like my argument about the Karen Reed case, when I look at Michael Proctor, when I look at certain members of the Massachusetts State Police, Canton Police Department, I say these people did what they did because they believed they could get away with it, or they believed that it would succeed. They believed they had the power and authority to pull off what they did on Karen and John O'Keefe. And they acted that out, enacted that. And I see the same thing here, because there are the words out there that Justin's family, and this is all, I'm not saying this is whatever. I'm not saying it's set in stone, but this is a situation where it is believed that they know certain ins and outs. So, folks, when I do this, it just takes away their names. I'm sorry. But Emily C is with us, and private investigator Lauren. Lauren, if I say your last name wrong, you got to let me know. Vellucci.
Perfect.
There we go. Perfect. I'm MazzaMedia. All right. I got the red shirt. I got the red, white, and red going tonight. But, I've lost my train of thought now. Wonderful. I've lost all my dialogue. What was that?
You were about to spill the beans on his family, but also say that it wasn't.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, thank you, Emily, for thank you for reminding me where I was and where I'm leaving. I'm paying attention to the chat, the dollars. I'm like, my brain just like, but yeah, it's believed that they know certain things, and this is all. I don't know if it's factual or not. Not saying set in stone, but that's what the belief is, that these people knew how to coordinate something like this. And to Emily's point, that scares the hell out of me, that certain people with certain knowledge of either how to exploit a law or people in positions of power, have certain connections to basically just exploit a citizen that now has to spend thousands of dollars to fight just to say, hey, I'm innocent. I didn't do what I'm accused of. And now I got to spend thousands of dollars to prove that, just so the judge should say, okay, you're free to go.
Yeah.
And that's what happened to Karen Reed. $1.1 million raised just so a judge can say, okay, you're free to go. 2 trials, just so the judge can say, you're free to go.
So she could say, you're all set.
Right. Exactly, Emily. Well timed. I like that. Exactly. But that's the facts. It's the facts, unfortunately. And we just got another rate increase. I think we surpassed $700 now, ladies and gentlemen. Let's take a look.
You guys are amazing.
$745.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys. Wow. I can't thank Emily and Lauren so much as well for staying on with me today, joining on this show today. And most of them have been on. Emily, I think this is your second time on here. Lauren, you've been on a lot. And these fundraisers are great. It's like, for me, like when I think about fundraisers, I always say to people say, most of Mazza's shows are fundraisers. You know what I get to thinking? Like, shouldn't like every show be a fundraiser? Because you think about, every time you do a fundraiser, people give, they help that person out that they like. So I like to do fundraisers all the time. It's one of my favorite things. Plus, I like to do the math a lot. So I love the math.
For doing them, they make a huge difference. Like huge.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what it's about. It's about helping people and. Getting people to go on with their lives. We just had another $100 donation coming, I believe. We're now up to $845.
Thank you, everyone. That's amazing.
Wow, ladies and gentlemen.
I appreciate so much that you do these too, because I feel like it not only does it help Kelsey, but it kind of helps all of us to see that like there is more good. Like we're talking about kind of like the negativity in the system, and there is more good than bad in the world. And I think that that's a good reminder. It's a a fundraiser like this is a nice time to be reminded that like there are so many good people out there who want to help, that are looking for an opportunity to be able to help, and that we really do have like the collective power to make a difference.
Right.
And that a little bit of bad cannot ever be outweighed by like so much good.
Yeah,
That's right.
absolutely.
And it says a lot about you, Mazza, because
Thank you.
We all have, interest in watching YouTubes. Some of us have YouTube channels, and like you just are so kind and giving of your time and want to do fundraisers. Like that just says a lot about you. So thank you for doing that and using your channel to do that. Thank you.
I appreciate it. I appreciate that. And like I said, it's about helping people get on with their lives and continuing on. And, I remember like, they always play those Jimmy Fun videos before a lot of movies at the movie theater. And they talk about the kids that, what they, where their lives are and how they help the kids, and they help the kids get on with their lives. And I kind of look at the same thing with this, with true crime. You're seeing people placed in circumstances that they didn't ask to be in, quite honestly. Kelsey didn't wake up that morning and say, gee, you know what? I really hope my life turns upside down and everything goes to hell in a handbasket, which it did in a matter of minutes. We've seen that in other cases as well. And for me, I like to see people have that opportunity to state their voice, say, this is, look, this should have never happened to me. This is ridiculous. This is preposterous. And eventually have that day where they can walk out of the courtroom and say, I did it. I won. I beat them. They tried to take me down, but they all failed. And thank you to everybody. And they continue on with their lives. And civil cases if necessary, like what Karen's going through, right now. And they can continue on, move on, and be done with this nonsense. Because it just, again, Kelsey shouldn't have to go through this stuff. Getting shot on top of it is not cool, obviously. And, people need to answer.
No, not cool at all.
Yeah, right. We just said $900 exactly.
Amazing. And I'll just say, like I said this from day one. I personally believe that Kelsey is going to have one hell of a civil suit after all is said and done.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Towards the, Andover State Police, or Andover Police Department, possibly Justin himself, possibly the parent. I mean, there's so many things that could possibly lead to her having a very similar predicament that Karen's in right now, for different reasons. But there was procedures there that were not followed, and yeah.
That's what I'm interested in, because a lot of times, like when you look at Karen Reed's defense team, for example, there's so much that goes on behind the scenes. There's so much preparation. There's so a lot of times they wouldn't tell you certain things because they were holding off until they present that in trial. And you saw that with say, for example, ARCA provided us a lot of details, even during the second trial, that were presented in a better way. And that's what I'm looking for when this goes to trial, is what information, because, Kelsey said when she got out originally on the September 8th, she said, was it September 8th or September 11th? I forget now, but she got out for a couple of days.
She got out the 8th and then back in on the 11th, right?
Okay. Yeah, I think that's what it was. That makes sense. Thank you, Emily. Appreciate that, because I'm always forgetting these days. It is.
Yeah.
It is. Breath of fresh air and a cup of coffee, then right back in.
Just a tease.
Right. And I think that, there's always, like she said, the truth will come out. And I think that a lot of times her defense team and Kelsey know more than what they're allowed to say. And you kind of see that during this last week's press conference. Martha Coakley and Tim Bradle will say a few things. We'll cap it. We'll let Kelsey say a few things. We'll cap it. That's it. And then they're preparing now for the trial. And, I'm looking to see what they're going to have to say. Because, again, as much as, like a lot of us during the Karen Reed trial, a lot of us followed the ins and outs. We saw the posts. We saw the microdots videos. But microdots, I don't know if he wants me to spill this, but I'm going to say it. Richie, don't get mad at me. But Richie could only say so much in those videos that he couldn't release until after the trials was over. This is not a big deal to say that, but that was what he had said. He goes, I can only share so much in these videos, and I'm only allowed to present so much until afterwards when he can put out more information. That's it. that's what's happening probably here too, is there's probably more information. The defense team probably knows a lot more, obviously, in every single case you ever watch, because they want to, hold that as an ace up their sleeve till they get to that trial. So I'm interested in seeing what they're going to come out with. I'm interested in the biggest thing I'm interested in is I want them to gain access to all those text messages. I want to know what those people were texting, what they were saying. And if there's any level of collusion in those text messages, game over. Emily, do you want to go, or Lauren, you call? Yeah.
I was just going to say that alone shows how strong Kelsey is, because I can't even imagine like knowing that you have your own story to tell and to be like, everything you guys know, you don't know the half of it, and here's what really happened.
Right.
Like, to be able to get out and bite your tongue and just say like, I'm excited to go home and decorate my Christmas tree, like I'd eat sushi, like that alone is strength.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. It's again, I hate to say God chooses certain people, but someone like Kelsey, I could say that, Kelsey, I feel like someone that could really take this on. And I don't want to see anybody ever have to go through this. Don't get me wrong. But I do feel like someone like Kelsey has like Karen, the mental fortitude to endure something like this and prevail and take it all the way to the end zone for a touchdown and victory. And again, I hate to see people go through these certain things, but I think that we've reached a certain point in our society where we have to look at what's going on, why is it happening, and why are people being singled out? And this should never happen. And we've all met a lot of people over the years, and it shocks me to hear people talk to me on the side. I was at the craft fair in December of 2024 at the Star Drive-In, and I met a few people, and there was a person that talked to me for a bit and shared their story and talked about what they had gone through in years past. And while it wasn't as drastic or as involved as what Karen or Kelsey have gone through, it was a story that was very enduring and very shocking to hear somebody go through. And I think that a lot of people can, to some degree, identify with that, because they're not only supporting Kelsey or whomever because they're supporting them. Like someone like myself is like, well, I'm really angry she's going through this and I'm supporting her. But there's other people that are like, well, for me, in their set of circumstances, they've been through something that has shades of what other people are going through. And they're there because they're not only there to support them, but they're also feeling that that person also represents what they went through as well. And if there's ever going to be any change to what's happened to those individuals, getting behind Kelsey or Karen or whomever can be a path to battling through in the state that this shouldn't be happening. And I think that's a big thing as well, that there needs to be accountability. We ask that our officers just do their job to the best of their abilities within how the law operates and to never exploit it. And I think that's a concern for a lot of people when we look at a lot of the cases that are going on. When you have state police officers dropping by people's houses, whether it's at Holden or down near Fall River, it's absolutely insane what they've done and what's happened to people. And I don't want that to happen. I don't want to root for every cop to go down. That's far from that. But I do want to root for these officers that are abusing their badge to be stopped. And I'll leave it there for now.
That's right. And I think it's also worth noting again, like, I think we forget with there's so many layers to this case, but the grand jury, they brought this case as an attempted murder to the grand jury, and the grand jury said, no, not happening. There was nothing there that they could find. So that goes again against Noonan's, credibility. So we have to also keep that in our mind, and I just knowing what I know on this case and reading the documents, I cannot imagine having a jury find her guilty of the lesser. And that's without having seen every bit of information that they're going to be putting on as a defense team. So this whole thing, it just smells. It's just something's not right about it. And going back to Justin's family, they knew the key words. They have done this for a living with putting addicts away and alcoholics away and things like that. There are trigger words that when a judge sees, they take serious. So,
Yeah.
you know, potentially this is very, very dirty.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Emily?
Well, that's such a good point about the grand jury. Like, there's that whole, like, a grand jury will indict a ham sandwich. Like, if they had anything to hang that on, they would have come back with charges. And especially with like a police officer involved and everything, and the fact that the grand jury saw more than we have and said, like, no, is very telling about the direction that this is going to go in. And hopefully that gave Kelsey a lot of like hope about the direction that this is going to go in. That said, like, juries are scary now. Just seeing the first jury in the Karen Reed trial. Like,
right.
So distracted by distractors.
Right. That's a great point. And I think that was one of the things that shocked us all. I remember when Ronnie the Juror was on a show. I know he was on Turtle Boy's show. I'm not sure if he was on other shows, but I know he was on a few national.
And he did the whole
broadcasts.
media circuit.
Yeah, he did the whole media circuit, and he's like saying certain things, and we're like, oh my goodness, that was because we're all sitting there like, oh, the jury must be picking up on this, and that, and then you found out, wait a second, they were way, way off course, not necessarily fully off course, but enough not to get that verdict. Karen Reed's defense team, being a great defense team, tailored their efforts, worked with a few of the jurors, obviously. One of them, I forget her. Forgetting names today. Victoria George. Thank you. I was going to say Amanda Victoria. She was, Victoria George helped them out quite a bit and had quite the background as well legally to assist. And I'm interested to see how Tim and Martha are going to frame their case here, form it and all that. Now, one of the things about this case that's extremely interesting to me is that we're talking about police corruption. We're talking about cops not doing their job properly. We're talking about all that. But I think sometimes what we often forget, even though we may or may not forget, but is the fact that Kelsey Fitzsimmons was a police officer in that very department, that her fellow officers and own partner were involved in that. And you look at John O'Keefe. John O'Keefe was a police officer, actually a Boston police officer, just like the homeowner was in Canton, Massachusetts. And it's just shocking as well that this is happening, but it's also happening in matters involving an individual, because realistically, the physical victim in the Karen Reed case was not Karen, it was John O'Keefe, as we know. She was the victim of being framed, right? She was a victim of the cover-up. Kelsey kind of takes on a shade of both John and Karen to different degrees, where she is the physical victim, not killed, but shot potentially with a fatal outcome. But then she's also similar to Karen in the sense that she is essentially the framed party in the cover-up. So she's almost to some degree taking on a shade of Karen and John O'Keefe all at once, which I think is one of the most shocking things about this whole story. Is I just feel like, I personally, it's my theory that the police did everything they could to cover this up. Britt Happens is joining us live from Florida. Britt, what's going on?
Hi.
Hey there, Mazza. Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
Hi,
How are
Britt.
you today?
We're doing great. We've raised over $1,000 and counting for Kelsey. We're extremely excited. We're happy that Kelsey is out. Why don't we go right to you? The SJC ruling, Kelsey getting released this week. Take it away. Welcome to the show, Brett. We love you.
Man, frustrated but not surprised with the SJC is where I would start with that. I've got my purple on for Kelsey. I just, the more that we hear no from those voices, the more of the public that we need to rally together. I will say that, all's well that ends well. She got to spend Christmas at home. I'm so pleased for her. But, we just keep seeing more and more of what we're familiar with. I don't know what else to say about that, but the more people that we can get together, the more that we can raise for her, the louder the truth will be when it does finally come out.
Just to answer JBZ 18. No, she cannot see her son yet, unfortunately. Yeah, unfortunately, there's a lot going on there that needs to be dealt with first.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Rebecca, I just want to answer that question.
No, I appreciate that you did, which, that just makes me so sad. One thing that has really stood out to me a whole lot with, this family probate court stuff is how much of the allegations from family court, probate court seem to keep getting brought up in the criminal matter. Any thoughts from any of you on that would be appreciated, because here we are with two completely separate cases, and Judge McCarthy Nyman, I still haven't figured out how to pronounce it just yet, but she keeps citing things that Justin has said, which still is one-sided, which, still are contested. These are not facts that have been conceded as far as, alcohol, things of that nature that keep getting brought into the criminal matter. Why is that? Is the judge allowed to do that? And is there a connection with Justin's family when it comes to the judge? Because I don't think it's appropriate, first of all, and it's shocking me.
Well, I'm no lawyer, but I think that right now that's all they have to go on, and they're taking it as gospel. Again, I have a huge issue with the fact that he was able to go in there, say whatever he wanted to, and then now she has to wait until what, April or May, to have a 2-party hearing to where her side comes out in that, that matter. It's disgusting. So I don't know the legalities of that. Family court is not my forte, and by any stretch of the imagination. So yeah, I mean, it's just a problem that they're taking his word against hers when she hasn't had a chance to speak. So
yeah,
especially when it seems like they're willing to hold like emergency hearings for a whole lot of other like little nonsense and like things when it benefits the court or the police officers or the system. And it seems like this would be a situation where it would be like, oh, we need to have an emergency hearing where we hear both sides of the story, so then we can proceed with all the facts. And it's like, nah, we have this one like handwritten, like whatever nonsense. We'll just use that for now.
Yeah, and if you believe Kathleen is biased, because in my opinion, it sure does seem that way. It sure does seem that she came in with an agenda. Then that would fit her agenda perfectly, wouldn't it? Just that narrative and going off of it, and it's what I'm gonna go by, So I don't know, but it's
and if you believe Justin, like if you're on Justin's side and you believe Justin, then you should also want Kelsey's side of the story to come out, because that would just like corroborate your side. Like to me, there's no downside to more information if you're on the right side.
Yeah.
And then to further that perspective, Emily, if let's say you think Kelsey is not telling the truth, go ahead and say whatever you're going to say then, because you will seem ridiculous. You won't come off as credible, and it'll make my side look better, right? So let her get her side out if you really believe that. So I don't know what to think there. And the more he talks, the better she looks, in my opinion. With what he said about Kelsey's parents in this last probate filing, I don't know what to make of it. I mean, he keeps using the time that has gone by since this all started against Kelsey's parents. I mean, that was one of the gnarliest things I've ever seen, for him to say, oh, well, now at this point, more than half of Caden's life has gone by. So, well, okay, but is that their doing or is it yours? Yours, sir.
Yeah.
That's not something that you should be trying to use against the grandparents.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
how about this? How about this? He's the only parent who is trying to keep one parent completely away from the child.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't heard anything about Kelsey trying to keep the baby completely away from him.
Yeah.
Why? Because she's reasonable. He's in it for spite. He's taking it out on Kelsey, and he's affecting the baby. And any good, court judge who sees these type of cases every single day is going to be able to pick up on that. So
Right.
keep talking. He's doing himself a disservice.
Yeah, that kind of behavior just shows that you hate the other parent more than you love your child.
Yes.
And you should never, ever have anything more in your mind more than your love for your child.
Yep.
So, yeah, he's just showing his own backside with all this. So keep talking, bud.
It just, it just makes me sick just to see how personal it got. That you'd ever deny someone the, I understand people, get separated after they have a kid. I understand there's marriages that end in divorce and they split custody. I get it. I understand circumstances vary. Totally get it. But I just can't imagine anyone ever, unless the person was so off the wall, a danger or a threat to a child, to shut them out from at least having a split or even a percentage agreed upon visitation or custody of that kid. In this particular situation, it's just totally shut out Kelsey altogether. She's basically been thrown in a ditch and having to fight her way out of this whole thing, as far as literally being thrown in jail for over 100 days, Britt, which I know makes us sick to our stomachs. But it's unreal, the set of circumstances that have befallen her. But I just don't see any level of justification in which this RO would be signed and this would take place. And this, they're allowed to walk in the door, give us the kid, or else, that is just absolutely outrageous. That in modern times, I mean, this is not the Salem witch trials. I know this courtroom may be in Salem, but Kelsey Fitzsimmons is not a witch. This is not what the 1800s or whatever, or 1600s, whatever it was. And here we are watching a modern day woman with modern day laws face a set of circumstances that I do not think should be the process that the cops can just barge in your house, give us the child, and then they're out the door. This is not, I'm not trying to be funny here, but this is not the Wicked Witch of the East showing up at Dorothy's parents' house and snatching Toto and riding off into the day. This is not, you get that reference,
That's
Emily?
a movie I know.
Excellent. Oh, perfect. Perfect. That's great. I feel good.
Well, and Mazza, all this that you just brought up, I don't know how much of Melanie Little's show any of you watch, but she refers to him as just in it for the money. And that's because, the first few filings we saw were, him making some pretty shocking allegations, very few of which sounded very believable, at least to me. And then immediately after, Kelsey, listed her home for sale in order to be able to provide for herself and to be able to try to get Tim Bradle paid. And right away, Justin follows up with, oh, no, you can't use the proceeds from the sale of your own home to be able to provide for yourself and defend for yourself. That money needs to come to me since I took your kid. So that money needs to come to me so that I can provide for this kid, is basically what he said with that. So it was gimme. And just so we're aware, especially since this is a fundraiser for Kelsey, keep your ear to the ground, so to speak, because I've heard from somebody on Kelsey's team today. And one thing that they're going to be adding to their, I don't know if it's Amazon or what the route is to be able to get us to help her with this, but there were some things that on the day of the incident, June 30th, allegedly Justin took from Kelsey's home that were not his to take.
Well, we already went over some new items that were added, so I think that,
yeah. So that's the story with some of those new items. I don't know if it's all of them, but according to the team, there were things that Justin took that Kelsey would like to replace instead of, try to go through the channels of just getting them back. She just wants to replace it. So if we are going to help her, that is another way that we can. And then let me also add, I just placed an order for some Kelsey gear.
Nice.
Through the Gator Boy Facebook page, Justice for Kelsey.
Perfect.
Facebook page. So don't forget that you can support her that way. And all the proceeds from those orders also go toward helping her out. So, definitely plenty of ways to help her.
Absolutely. That's
I
fantastic.
don't know
For
what
Charlotte
to-
Tilbury makeup.
Right?
He took a blush.
No judgment if that's what he took, but I don't know what he allegedly took. I was just told that there are some things that, because remember, he showed up at the house that day and, allegedly there were things missing afterwards.
there's a lot about Justin we don't know yet, and is going to come out. So stay tuned.
I'm very much looking forward to Kelsey's side of the story finally being out there, and we will weigh it all in the balance.
Right. And what what we were talking about too before we came into the show, Brett, was the Karen Reed case, and how much we all knew prior to each trial, and how even when they went through a second trial, there was still more information that would come out that we never heard before, or maybe saw presented a different way. And that's what kind of interests me about what Kelsey's defense team is going to do when they present themselves in trial. How are they going to, present everything? What are they going to show that we don't know? What are they going to dig up on this ex-fiance that might be damning to him? Did you ever file any police reports? Did you ever file for a restraining order in the past?
Right.
There's going to be a lot of questions to be asked. It's going to be extremely intriguing because they have a lot to answer for as far as I'm concerned.
Or has he pulled these types of stunts on other people?
Sure.
Has he maybe enhanced certain stories to try to get them somehow institutionalized against their will? Has he, somehow tried to step in to take someone's financial stability away from them? Has he destroyed people's reputations, character assassination? I mean, we don't know. And you're right, Mazza. Even now, we are still finding things out in the Karen case that should have been disclosed to her long before trial number 1.
2 to 3 years ago, even, right?
Yeah, and it's almost 2026. We're a couple days away from 2026, and all these things that we're still finding. I mean, not all the Sallyport footage was released. Sidebar stuff, Emily. So, oh God, am I frozen? Can you guys hear me?
No, you're fine. Yeah.
Okay.
We can hear you.
But you froze, but we can hear you.
And keep talking. So, but and so all this stuff that was kept behind the curtain, so to speak, it's not just in Karen's case. We know that. We've watched Aiden Carney's case. We've watched plenty of other things that have shown us that people are doing a lot of things under the table. And, one thing that did stand out to me in one of the more recent hearings was Tim Bradel asking specifically for some very interesting sounding discovery, including Justin's text messages with the police officers who visited Kelsey's house on the day in question. So, that means that at some point they were corresponding with one another, and it was before Kelsey was shot.
Yeah.
I need to hop off and go.
Sure,
it's
Emily.
bath time and I need to go be
Okay.
a mom. But I hope that you all continue donating. And Mazza, I'm so appreciative that you are doing this and that you're giving us this outlet to be able to put some good back into a situation where it didn't feel so good in the first place. And if Kelsey's still out there watching, I hope that she can feel the love from all of us tonight. And I'm so grateful to have been on this panel.
Emily, thank you
I hope
so
you guys
much.
have a great night.
Have a great night, Emily. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, Emily as well. Look, Lauren, you're front and center now. There you go. Take it away. There we go. No, that's great. I'll put you to the right because you've been on the upper right all night, Lauren. We'll keep you. This is your spot. You got your own spot in the family. There you are. But hey, Emily's been great. She's done a lot of great shows. She talks about a variety of things. Yeah. She's been fantastic, and thankful to have her on here. She did a big show before this too for a long time. Wow, she's putting in some serious time on Sunday and still made time for this show and this program as well, which we highly appreciate about her, and thankful for Emily on her contributions as well. And Britt has technical difficulties, so Lauren, we're going to continue the show how we began, you and I.
All right.
And New York, what's the weather like? It's got a weather report. New York, what's going on out there weather-wise right now?
Well, we got about 6 inches yesterday.
Okay.
So that was awesome. I got my snow fix and took some, pictures in the snow, which was fun because I'm from Florida. So yeah, now it's no longer snowing, but it's still on the ground and all that. So we should be good to go and do some other activities tomorrow. So, but it's great. Yeah.
Good to hear. Now, what Emily said, or what we've talked about, what else would you like to talk about yet? That we either expand upon something or talk about maybe some aspect we haven't talked about yet. I just want to give you an opportunity.
Yeah. So when I used to work for DCF, there has been many calls that I went in with the, our unit to go and remove the child. Whether or not the police were there, it would depend on the situation. However, if they were there and we needed them to clear the scene, that was their one and only job, to go in and clear the scene. So this whole, coming back with the AJC, just that verbiage in there, well, Kelsey lied about where the guns were. I don't care if she lied, because guess what? People lie every single day. It was the North Andover Police Department's responsibility to go in the basement and to see if those weapons were where she said they were. Because not only that, she was probably not thinking completely clear when they asked her that. She was like, why are these people in my home? Why is Justin in my home? So they should have marched themselves down into the basement to see if those weapons were there and to take custody of the weapons. If they weren't, then they could have had a stronger worded conversation with her about where they were. But you're not doing anything in that house until you have possession of the weapons. So it is literally that simple. And because they failed to do their job, they put that gun in Kelsey's hand.
Right. Now, a few questions for you. You work for DCF. What state did you work for?
Florida.
Florida. Now, would you say that typically DCF from state to state, there's probably not much of a difference in how they operate?
It really just depends on the laws. Laws in every state, whether minute or big or whatever, they do vary. Even with private investigation laws in different states like Georgia, Florida, they're different. So I wouldn't know enough about that to say how it is up there in Massachusetts. Plus, they have some crazy laws, so I don't know. But that is kind of like just a police procedure, regardless of DCF. You secure the weapons in the home.
Right.
So, yeah. it makes me sick because all of this could have been avoided just by them doing their job that they were trained to do.
Yeah, they should have held Kelsey outside, and they should have held hopefully the baby was outdoors. I don't know where the baby allegedly was when everything kind of came to a head. And Justin should also have not been in the house.
And that's why you have a DCF investigator go there, because they are the ones to take custody of the child. You get a court-ordered, statement from the judge saying you have custody of that child. And whether or not they're removed right that second, you take them and you meet them at another location, whether it's a mile down the road. That's where the handoff should have been.
That was 50 shades of inappropriate to put Justin in that house. I mean, are you just asking for things to be escalated? If and when we ever get a Kelsey Fitzsimmons style license plate, because there's one for Just En Route, there's one for Karen Reed, there's one for Sandra Birchmore. If we do a license plate for Kelsey, maybe Massachusetts set up Kelsey Fitzsimmons. I don't know. We will need to get her full side of the story.
Wait for trial. We might have some even better keywords there.
yeah, perhaps. But I think she needs a license plate, and I think that they knew that they had a recipe for disaster when they showed up there, and didn't have body cams and didn't have anybody any kind of social worker to facilitate the change of custody of baby Caden. I mean, I think they were asking for something to happen. They knew Kelsey's mental status. They knew she was in possession of weapons and that she had gotten them back. In fact, she even was at the police office earlier that day to do some type of paperwork or administrative stuff prior to the incident.
Her recertification of her CPR for that year.
Yes, because she was getting ready to come back to work.
Yeah.
So, was this some type of ruse? Is what I'm wondering.
We have an announcement to make. Some landmarks have been hit here. Oh, actually, the new total is wrong. It's 1,300, not 13,000. And I was like, yeah. And the GiveSendGo hit 63,000. So that's what it is. We just hit a new landmark. That's the GiveSendGo hit. That was 3 typing here. 63K.
Well, you can add approximately $65 in, but I think I did mine through the Gator Boy. Yeah, I know that I did mine through the Gator Boy, but I did it during this stream while I was on my way home tonight.
Nice.
Ready to jump on.
Yeah, so 1,300 is our new total for this fundraiser. And the GiveSendGo itself is at $63,000 overall. Amazing. That's all time, yeah. And we started off at the GiveSendGo is at $61,700. So we helped surpass the 62K mark and the $63,000 mark on this show. Great job, everybody. That's fantastic news. That's fantastic.
Such a generous community. It's amazing. They blow me away every time. Thank you guys.
That is huge. We're getting things done for Kelsey. And, that's the thing. I think everybody's attitude is we're tired of injustice and we want to help people out and fundraise for them and equip them. And by equipping them, the more you equip people financially with this fundraiser, the more they can defend themselves. And I think people have spoken recently on 2 major fundraisers that happened just over a week ago. Karen Reed and Turtle Boy, big nights for both sides on those particular nights because people just want to see all parties have their opportunity. And that's it. That's what we're looking for. We're looking to help people. And the people out there are looking to do that. That's what matters most is the justice, like Kelsey's family said on the GiveSendGo, justice for all. Nobody should have to ever face down these circumstances, and everyone should have an opportunity to fight for themselves. And there's a lot of great people out here that are determined to help out Kelsey, and we could come on the show and talk all day, but it's the people that are donating right now, making those donations that are allowing us to announce these dollars. And that's really huge to see. And, together we'll continue to work and strive forward and accomplish our goals and help Kelsey accomplish hers. And that's really what this is all about. And there's a lot of great people out there, and God bless everybody that's donated tonight. And even if you haven't donated tonight, even if you've donated before to Kelsey or any other fund that you've chosen to fund, great job. I mean, just fantastic. And, nobody should ever be in any all circumstances placed in some of the situations we've seen people placed in. Kelsey, on top of everything, was shot. She's a shooting victim. She's lost her child. And to that point, Lauren, I ask you, as a former member of DCF, have you ever seen a restraining order be served as sufficient enough to have a child taken away? Let us know the details on your experiences.
Not personally, no. No. No.
Yeah.
The cases where we removed was for reasons where, I mean, I can't even tell you, like the one that sticks out and will never leave me is a baby that was less than a week old. And when I picked this baby up, it felt, the only thing I can describe it as is, I don't know if those water babies where you'd fill them with water. Like, and you can take them in the bathtub, but you can also fill them with water. They're supposed to feel real.
Yeah.
I don't. I'm sorry about that. Understandably, I probably don't, right?
But when I picked the baby up, its chest kind of folded. Like it hadn't been fed since I don't know when, and it was only a week old.
Yeah.
And it was terrifying. It was terrifying to have to even put her in a car seat because it was just not suitable for that. And so
oh my God.
She didn't feel like alive really. And, by the grace of God, like we got food in her and, her nourished, and I was able to see her like a month later in her foster home, and she was thriving and growing and felt completely normal. Those are the type of things that we see, along with, much worse, beatings and things like that. Not because someone is spiteful over his, ex-fiance who, he's mad at. So no, this is absurd. It is a misuse of our justice system, in my opinion, and shame on him.
Thank you, JDZ. I'm good.
Yeah.
All good. I've got my robot pancreas. With Justin, I can't gauge, and this is just me completely brainstorming here, but part of me feels like it isn't necessarily retaliation or anything like that. It's him trying to get ahead of something. Like maybe Kelsey caught him in something.
100%.
I mean, they clearly were in a place in their relationship where they at least temporarily were no longer cohabitating because they were making arrangements to meet at the park that day. And Mazza, you turned off your camera instead of pressing the mute button.
Oh, did it? I pressed the mute. I pressed the mute button on my mic. I'm still getting past my cold here, and it's like, oh, geez. I'm like, all of a sudden I see the dot flashing. I'm like, oh, great. Everybody's hearing that live on the show right now. Wonderful.
We've all been bad. Okay.
We're live. We have bloopers sometimes. Yeah, I'm still getting over that cold. So I hit the mute on my mic. There's like a mic, and it's like green, and you hit that, and it goes red. And I'm looking at the thing. It's still going off. I'm like, great. I'm disgusting the whole audience. Wonderful. That's all right. We need some comic relief.
Tell me what kind of mic that is, though, Mazza, because I mess that up all the time, and my mic does not have any kind of light to indicate to me whether the mic is working or not. So I can't tell you how many 30, 60, 90-second monologues I've done, and I was muted and had no idea.
Right. Wonderful. Well, it could have been worse, right? That's all right. It's just like
Yeah.
everyone's probably listening to the show. I see Lauren's face there, and I see Lauren like.
I was like, I'm just gonna keep talking to Britt.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Oh my goodness. So we need some comic relief. I get to be the butt of the joke this time. Oh my goodness. I blame the microphone. The microphone should have. I actually had the mute button on the microphone. I will say it should have. Whatever. But there was one time I started a show and I was like that last winter, and everyone's like, "Mazza, your microphone is on." I'm like, "Oh, wonderful."
So
Oh, boy.
a little bit of brainstorming with this $63,000 plus. What experts do you guys think? I mean, clearly the bulk of that needs to go toward Tim and Courtney getting paid and all that. But what experts do you think, as of right now, with the details that we know, what experts do you think are going to get brought into this on Kelsey's side to testify on her behalf?
Well, I know there's certain cities that have an ability that they can somehow pick up on bullets firing by radar. I don't know if that will ever be something that's considered into this, or if it's even something that'd be possible. It depends, because I think like the cities of Boston, Worcester, even New York have that technology, but I don't know if small towns do. But if they did, I'd be interested in knowing if that would be something that would be practical to apply here. Not that she ever fired a shot, but I want to know like what the duration was between both shots. For example, if there was like a shot fired and then there's like a couple seconds delay and then there's another one, why is there a delay? But I don't know if they have that technology in North Andover. Or a shot spotter, someone said. Yeah, I think that's what it's called.
Yeah, like maybe a metal
right.
Metal expert, metallologist, I think is what they're called. And
right.
Yeah, that'd be
something.
And then Nikki suggested a mental health professional.
Yeah.
Oh, yep. And so did Nurse Not Lawyer.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's definitely one that I was thinking of. I was also thinking of some type of, individual who has some form of expertise just about, like first responders.
That's what I was in the back of my head. Sorry, Brett. This is what I was wondering in the back of my head. Will not work with indoor shots. That's yeah. I was wondering that. At least someone in the comments section knew this. That's good, because I was thinking that in the back of my head. Is that possible? I guess not. That's all right. Back to you, Brett. Sorry for the interruption.
Oh no. I'm glad we got the info. And then I would also like to see and know if there's anybody perhaps from Ring or Blink or whoever Kelsey was using for her individual security. If she had any kind of cameras up at her house, maybe indoors, maybe there was a baby monitor somewhere. A lot of baby monitors hook up to Wi-Fi and will save footage. I know that some of the cameras in my house are motion censored. So if you go in front of it, then it will record like 2 minutes worth of material and save that for a certain number of days. So hopefully, maybe we can get somebody from there to give some material if there is any.
Right. I agree. Any kind of expert we can have is necessary. And I think selecting the right experts that we're going to need, that they're the most effective to prove our innocence, are going to be the most effective, obviously. I also think that I'm interested in knowing what kind of indoor camera footage they actually had. There was a lot of speculation that there were cameras inside that house. And I would say this, even if those cameras don't pick up the visuals of what exactly went on in that room, if they so much as have enough audio to show the dialogue and what happened, that may be sufficient enough.
Yeah.
to prove her innocence. If there's something, if Kelsey, for example, made the comment, I'm going to do it, I'm going to end my, anything like that, that would obviously show that she was trying to turn that firearm on herself.
Right.
That's all she's going to need. And then that officer's going to have all the answering to do. I think that they thought, they could get away with that. But if they have that kind of technology in that house, if that was the case, that's going to go a long way in proving her innocence. No question about it.
Well, if the gun jammed, my question is, why didn't he jump on her and take the gun? If it jammed, he had time to do that. So, that's another question that the jury's gonna have to consider. But knowing what it takes to re-rack that gun to clear the jam, he had time.
Right.
Period.
And that's exactly right. So first of all, if there's a jammed firearm, as we know, it's going to take a few moments to assess why it jammed, then unjam it. Then once it's unjammed, then do what you need to do to attempt to do what she intended to do in the first place that she is accused of doing, which is fire at that fellow officer. And then when you take into account the distance, 10 feet, this is not a situation. Sorry.
I read it to you.
Yeah, I'm just laughing. So I was reading that comment, I didn't know what they were saying. I'm like, oh, okay. It's funny. But no, they would be able to close that distance in a matter of seconds. Absolutely. In a matter of seconds from 10 feet. I mean, you take 1 or 2 steps, you're across that room. It's no problem at all. You can simply just boom, collapse. Then you take into things like this. How much bigger is he than her? How much stronger is he than her? Would he be able to, if it jammed and he knows her, why would he shoot her? Why wouldn't he just take her down, immobilize her, disarm her, put her in a situation where she's going to be subjected to a handcuffing? Why attempt to shoot at her? Now, that's where it goes back to this. If he had interpreted her when she was putting her firearm to her own head, if he interpreted that as an attack, he would do what? Immediately fire.
Yes, correct.
That's how you prove that.
Correct.
It's absolute proof that she did what she said she did. She turned the firearm on herself. He thought it was an attacking action. He jumped the gun. I hate to use that term, but he jumped to conclusions, which some officers are going to do in that situation. That's the risk you run, right? In that situation. He goes, oh my God, I'm going to be shot at. Let me shoot at her. Missed the first one because it was a panic. The second shot, he corrected his trajectory and nailed it. That's pretty much how I see that coming down. That's how people say, we don't know what happened or not, but that's how I come to that conclusion. Is because, like you said, Lauren, if the firearm did jam, then you're telling me that you went to go shoot someone with a jammed firearm? It didn't take her time to fix that or adjust or assess what happened to her own firearm? The gun, I would say if her firearm jammed, she probably would have thrown the firearm right at him or tried to attack him in some other manner as opposed to sitting there and trying to fix it. That's things I conclude.
You have to bring the gun if it was out, she has to then bring it closer to her so she can get leverage on that because she's got shorter arms like I do because she's a small short girl. And so therefore he would have had time to jump on her and subdue her like that.
Yeah.
Two things they just don't make sense. That along with all of his other statements, they just don't add up. And I can, I'm sure that's why she was not indicted for the more serious charge because the grand jury was picking up on these things too.
Right. This whole narrative was a CYA campaign all the way down to this past hearing with McCarthy saying, oh, well, you could have just, asked me a month ago, Your Honor, she can blow into the scram device now, and I would have let you out sooner. You didn't need to do an emergency motion in order to get her out before Christmas. I don't know exactly how the procedure works with that, but I think there probably would have been some kind of jurisdictional issue with with that, by the way. But you know, did we ever hear anything definitive about whether the North Andover Police Department actually did receive a federal grant for body cameras?
Yes.
Yeah, they chose not to use it.
Right.
Because again, body cams, we would not be here right now. They would be able to go back and review body cam footage. You know, it's not going to be a he said, she said anymore. And we wouldn't be having to go through all of this. They may have never even indicted Kelsey with anything.
Again, which goes to the credibility and the strong possibility that Kelsey is going to have one hell of a civil suit after this is all over.
Right.
Yeah.
All of those things.
And if you're a good law enforcement official or a good first responder, you want to avoid scenarios where it's your word against someone else's. You want to be able to have evidence, documentation to corroborate what you are saying. You don't want to be in those scenarios where either someone's going to believe you or believe the person that you were alone in a room with, which is why you don't get alone in a room with somebody, you know, if you can avoid it, or you don't, you know, you don't go somewhere where the stakes are really high and tensions are getting crazy without body cam footage. Well, without a running body camera. I can't believe they would take a federal grant that is supposed to be for body cams and then either misappropriate the funds or just let the money sit there and not, you know, protect yourself with that purchase. I mean, you can save yourself from a host of lawsuits, indictments on yourself, if you just have that little bit of extra clarity and transparency.
Well, it's for their safety too. It's not just for like future, you know, perpetrators. It's for the cop's safety. So
exactly.
they're smart. So.
Right. I mean, any Joe Blow who gets arrested, you know, could come back around later and say, oh, when you arrested me, you said something inappropriate, or you know, pulled my arm out of the socket, and no, I don't have any long lasting injuries, but you were out of line. And then there's nothing you can do to show that Joe Blow is lying through his teeth. And he very well could be, but now here we are, and he has a case whereas he could have absolutely nowhere to go with it if you just had a body camera that proves otherwise. So yeah, I don't understand why you don't want to protect yourself with that.
Unless they're doing things they didn't want people to know about. I mean, that's where my head goes to. You know?
Right. It's like the Mass State Police live GPS story that Ted Daniel has been putting out, where, you know, troopers, all their vehicles had a GPS in it to where they could be tracked at any time, but very specific select troopers could turn off their GPS unit. And they said it was for things like undercover. Are you going undercover in a marked cruiser?
Right.
Like, I'm sorry, that doesn't seem very believable to me. But you know,
I personally think one of the things technologically that we're in as a society is we are like, for example, we're all on YouTube right now. We're all on camera. There's multiple shows all over the internet, whether they're shows we follow or not, that have people in StreamYards just like this, or other shows that can be on camera. Technology has significantly changed, and I think one of the biggest things that's an issue is rules and regulations and laws haven't caught up to those technological gains, where I see that only 8 states in the United States actually mandate wearing body cams for police officers, which is actually a shockingly low number Other states just allow it up to those police departments to determine. It looks like grants have been awarded at the state level to multiple towns that can submit a request for those body cams. The concern I have, though, this day and age is that, like when you look at like the old West in our country, there's so many crimes people used to be able to commit and get away with. There was no technology back then. People would shoot a sheriff in a small town, escape on horseback, and never be seen again. Nobody saw it happen. It's just mysteries that used to happen all the time in our country, right? But as time went on and technology advanced, you just can't do that anymore. You can't, as you saw with Brown University a couple weekends ago. Even if you do get away, you get caught eventually. That's the way it is in our society because there's cameras all over the place. And even though Rhode Island was abysmally slow with their process, they did eventually figure out who it was. But with police officers, you have a he said, she said environment where, like it's been said on the show a few times, not only are you protecting the public, but you're protecting the officers from the public as well, because accusations can come down at any point saying this officer did that, said that, this happened. And the last thing you want is a police officer losing their job when that officer knew they were up against someone that was typically someone of criminal tendencies. They had a violent history and they needed to basically take them down. But then you have situations such as Kelsey Fitzsimmons, where there is no history of violence. And then this happens. And it's he said, she said all the way, and that's where you want to have visual evidence to show what happened. It's just like if you had ring camera footage on Fairview Road in Canton and we're able to determine, guess what? Looks like Karen Reed didn't back in anybody. So there's that.
Yeah. Or if you had gone looking for that footage.
Yeah, absolutely. We're about $140 away from $1,500 right now. We're at $1,360.
We can do it. I have faith in us. I think we can do it.
$1,360 is our new total. Can we hit $1,500 tonight? We will see, ladies and gentlemen.
And I said before, just a few dollars goes so far. If everyone gives just a few dollars, that adds up, and we could easily get that total tonight.
Right.
I think.
Right. Absolutely. We're looking at
And
that. We'll see.
everybody who has donated, thank you. And everybody who perhaps can't donate, if you can at least do something to spread awareness for this.
Right.
For example, I'm going to be wearing Free Kelsey Fitzsimmons gear and Justice for Kelsey gear in Florida. I'm going to get plenty of questions about that. Or, just sharing what you see on social media from trusted resources, from trusted sources like Mazza, sharing fundraisers. Maybe someone else out there doesn't know about a fundraiser and has the means to donate. So, there are plenty of ways to be able to help without, contributing anything monetarily. So think about, if you think about what made Karen Reed so successful, she got a lot of donations, but it wasn't just from local crowdsourcing. There were people all over the nation and all over the world who contributed. And how did that happen? It was through raising awareness.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. Go ahead, Lauren.
Sorry, no. I was just gonna say, talk to someone at work, like with, on lunch breaks. Tell them what what you did this weekend, what you did, something that you're passionate about. People will latch onto this story. I can promise you that.
Yeah, that's exactly what caused the Karen Reed thing to explode, was just continually, folks out there, Turtle Boy, obviously, other people online, Nick Rocco, other people that continue to spread this through their shows, any other means, people on the street, people that hold signs in Dedham, overpasses. It was every person that just kind of contributed more and more and more to, people driving home that don't go online much. Do they suddenly see a Karen Reed sign every day on the ride home from work? It was kind of like it was a grassroots movement. It really was. It was a lot of people contributing. And everybody that contributed, make sure we all give credit to everybody. That's what I always say. Everybody did the work, and you had people out there in extreme heat, freezing cold, putting down the work. So it was great. It shows you the power of people when they all contribute. And that's what we're seeing with Kelsey as well, is that at one point, this GiveSendGo was a lot lower. It was down under 10,000. And then all of a sudden you see how it, trickulates up over time. And the more people, there was a person that called in my show one time. I think the one time I ever called, and she says, why do we have to keep like herself and the same people? Why don't we, as the same people, have to give over and over and over? Well, I said, look, you'll raise awareness, get more people to follow the case. The more people that follow the case might be contributors as well. But we look at, was it over $63,000? I mean, I've contributed a few times to this as well, but I can only contribute so much. We as individuals can only contribute so much. Even if you gave $1,000 as an individual, whether in one payment or over time, that there's only so much you can do as an individual, and it really, it's like a potluck dinner. You just bring salad, well, then there's just salad. But if somebody brings the breadsticks and the pasta, somebody starts bringing in the brownies and the cupcakes and the water and the sodas, suddenly, someone brings the meatballs and, the sandwiches. Suddenly, it's a pretty lit potluck dinner over time, as opposed to just salad that's right out of the bag that only has the purple cabbage and the carrots, and the brand supermarket salad dressing. But when everybody starts to bring it in, you get the lady across town that makes the meanest blueberry muffins. It's a lit potluck, and that's what happens here. It's everybody contributes to the whole. And the wings, exactly. The chicken wing person shows up. Got to have the chicken wings. Yeah, not actually. You're right. Not the meatball person. Yeah, you're right. Not that meatball, at least. But
well, this may sound overly simple, but everybody is just one person.
Yeah.
I can only be one place at one time. I only get one paycheck. Per pay period. I only have 24 hours in one day and X amount of time to spend on research, developing ways to help, putting my ideas out there, putting my thoughts and analysis out there. So, so is whoever's watching. You're only one person, but the more that we share this information with each other, the more strength that Kelsey's able to receive through all this. Again, it sounds overly simple, but I'm just one person.
Absolutely. And if you can't give, we understand. That's completely understood. Everyone, a lot of times people can't give. That's okay. It's perfectly understandable. And your heart matters as well. Your mind, your thoughts, your prayers all matter. As far as I'm concerned, and that's all good. So no problem. That's what I say. So that's what I say as well. It's a tough time, and like the holidays as well. It's tough as well for a lot of people out there. But if you can't, like I said, if you can't give, like one person goes, I can't give. I can only give about $1. I said, hey, no problem. Spread awareness. That's always the best. If you can just spread awareness, that's cool. If you have a lawn sign outside your house that it's the same sign you've had for a long time. That's all we got to say. This is from Will. This is the stepfather of Kelsey. He says, we appreciate the prayers from all, even if you can't donate. Write to Kelsey. That helps her a lot. And let's get that address back up one more time as well with that said on where you can write to Kelsey. I'd like to thank everyone that got the confirmation of this for the show tonight as well to make sure people had this information. Let me get the address. I thought I saw it in the chat, but one of our mods would probably.
Well, Kelsey went from being an engaged young woman with a baby and a career to, in the matter of one afternoon, being single, having her nursing child ripped from her arms. Huge question mark with the job thing. I doubt she'll be back. So, there was so much that in a matter of moments was taken away from her that changed her. So, and then furthermore, with having her due process rights completely trampled upon and being held in solitary, because not only is she law enforcement, but she's also a former CO. It's not very safe for those people to be behind bars, because you're probably around people who maybe have a little bit of resentment toward law enforcement and COs, or maybe you helped put that person behind bars. So, it's not very safe for those people. So she spent a lot of time in solitary as well. And that's something that can be mentally and psychologically completely debilitating.
Oh, yeah.
So the personal touch that you can give for her to help her not feel so alone, especially in these moments before she gets her child back. I can tell you right now, there are ways that helps her that no amount of money ever will. And what I learned from my last trip to Massachusetts, I'll never forget the very first moment that in person I saw Karen Reed pulling up to court, because it was cold. I mean, it was frigid that day. It was also raining, really dark and dreary, early in the morning. The buffer zone was in full effect at that time.
Ugh.
And seeing the way the look on her face changed just in driving about a block on the street, where a bunch of supporters got close to her car as they saw her approaching. They started holding their signs a little higher and shaking them a little faster, and chanting whatever they were chanting a little bit louder. And seeing that look on Karen's face go from being just so tired and so worn out to just a glow. No donation could give that to her. That is something that came from the moral support that she was getting. So as much of that as we can give to Kelsey. Oh, Cheryl. Yes, we did have breakfast that day. Yeah, that was a good birthday breakfast for me. So, as much of that personal support that we can show Kelsey as well, because none of this matters. None of these donations matter if she is so internally done for that she decides to give up and flee out, because she can still decide to do that anytime.
Yeah.
And I mean, none of this is easy for her. This is not a cheap process. This is a process that, is keeping her away from her child. This is a process that is also keeping her probably in a worse position with Justin too. So I'm sure there is a little voice in her head that every now and again, when things get a little extra hard, that little voice probably is whispering to her saying, if you just plea out for something that you didn't do, because, sometimes the process is just as much punishment as a sentence. You're getting raked over the coals. You're getting dragged through the mud. You're getting publicly attacked. Your life is being put on display for all to see. So the entire process of a criminal prosecution is so difficult. So it would be easy for her to, at any point, just decide, okay, if I plea out, a lot of this pain can and will go away. Maybe not all of it, but she has to wake up every single morning and decide, I am going to clear my name. I am going to get the truth out there. I'm going to do what is right by my son. And I'm going to fight for our system and for our system to work. And so, the support that we can give her to help her keep making that decision every morning is going to give so much more purpose to her. So
I don't think she has any any inclination of pleading out. I find her very much like Karen Reed. She has a proof, to show the world exactly what happened and exactly why she has been railroaded in all this. And I think that's what gets her up in the day. That and getting this behind her and seeing her son. But,
she's got strength.
Yeah, she's a warrior for sure. We love you, Kelsey, and we are behind you, and we hope that you feel like our virtual hugs because, like I said, you're a warrior, and we all are going to support you to the end, and we believe you, and we can't wait for the world to know exactly what happened. But with that being said, Mazza, my family's yelling at me because Sunday dinner is here.
All right.
So,
that sounds great.
Yes. So I am going to go, but thank you so much for having me. Kelsey, we love you and we support you. And we'll keep showing up. And Mazza, thank you so much again for having one of your another amazing fundraisers and taking time out of your day and your life to give back. And I know I appreciate it. And so thank you. But bye, guys.
Take care.
Lauren. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Bye, guys.
Take care, Lauren. Bye-bye. All right, that was Lauren Katie, private investigator. Let's make sure the camera shots are even here. We don't want to have it lopsided like that. That's not fair to you, Brett. All right.
Oh, please. You're prettier than me. So
I doubt it. I disagree. All right. What do you want to do? Go to the end of the hour or just go an even 3 hours tonight for the show?
Sure. That's fine.
Okay. All right, perfect.
Happy
That sounds good to me. The Bills just lost to the Eagles, which means the Patriots are AFC East champions. I'll take that. T-shirt and hat day for the Patriots. So that is good.
Super Bowl in the future?
We might see. I think they're a little too hurt to get there this year, but I think they're going to have they have an honest shot at competing for it. So I think they can. I think they should be able to give anybody a good fight all the way through. So we'll see. They got a shot. There's some good teams out there, but I think as long as they stay healthy and don't have any more injuries, that's gonna kind of try to hurt it here. So let's see. We got another donation, $5 coming in. Thank you for that. We appreciate that. Thank you so much. All right. So Christmas. I mean, that was huge for Kelsey.
Oh,
I mean, that was, we're all elated to see that happen. And she didn't have to sit there and spend her time in Chicopee. I mean, that drive is long enough from Western Mass to the eastern part of the state. It's a haul. It's, it's like about 2 hours without any traffic at all.
Yeah.
Tack on traffic. I mean, who knows? Are you looking at 10-minute delay every couple of towns? I don't know, but it's not good. But fortunately, she was home. That was great. And like I said, right now, she's at the worst case scenario that she should have always been at. When she went to jail, that was an even more, that was insult to injury. But all this stuff aside, worst case scenario, she's back to that level again. Now she's got an ability to start working her way up against all the, the trial that's coming up, anything in family and probate court, obviously. How long do you think a trial like this is going to last? It's not going to last as long as Karen's, or you think about a week or two?
It's hard to say. So, the only real harm that came from this case was to her. Mm-hmm. So, it's really tough to tell.
Yeah.
I don't know how much discovery there's going to be. I know that there's, still plenty that needs to be turned over to the defense. So it depends on how much material they want to bring before a jury. And it also is going to depend on how much material the judge allows to go before the jury. Mm-hmm. It's not going to take as much time as something like a murder trial, clearly. But
she did get the sushi. Okay, so that's been corrected. She did get the sushi. I was hyped for that. I don't eat sushi. I'm not a sushi guy, but I know the people that are sushi people love sushi. So that's good to hear. I'm more like a wing guy, so that's how it works. But sushi.
I am. I've got so there's a waitress at the sushi place that I frequent the most down here, and she sits me down every single time, hands me a menu, and says, "Okay, so how many pieces of Escalor nigiri would you like today?" Because she already knows I'm gonna probably get like between 6 and 10 of those. But I'm all about some sushi.
Awesome.
But yeah, I'm thinking maybe tops a couple of weeks for the entire trial. Should it get there.
Yeah, I'd like to see this be a nice
for all the prosecution witnesses, and then maybe 3-4 days for the defense, and a few days of jury deliberation.
Yeah,
who knows?
Yeah, I hope it's a quick and easy trial for her. They just get get their witnesses that are the people that they need, and get them on and do what they got to do inside that courtroom, and really just bring this thing home. But I don't think it's going to be an elongated trial compared. Like Karen Reed, it was like a quarterly project. It just went on to no end. It's like seasons would go by. You'd start in the spring and end in the summer every year. And with this, it should be a lot less involved. I'd imagine there's going to be a lot less witnesses. I'm interested to see what the prosecution's going to try to do, but I don't know how much they're really going to have to go on. They're just going to be like, well, she did this. Well, is there absolute proof? Is there proof beyond a reasonable doubt?
Right. I mean, they're going to put Noonan on the stand clearly because they have no case at all without Noonan. Noonan's the one who, any kind of where Kelsey pointed the firearm is going to come from. Yeah. The prosecution is also going to bring in, probably some people in Justin's family to, get in evidence about whatever her current mental health status was. And when I say current, I mean at the time of the incident. And then maybe not much more than that. Perhaps 1 or 2 people from her work. They're probably going to try to get in some kind of evidence that she at the time was on work leave due to the postpartum depression, which, what's so odd to me though is here we are expecting a quick trial, but especially in comparison to Karen's, seeing as there was a dead victim in that case. However, Kelsey Fitzsimmons has harsher pre-trial conditions.
Yeah.
And Karen Reed did. So it's just hard to tell.
Yeah. I know. It's going to be interesting. I just don't want to see any kind of loop. I think I'm going to say this about my prediction for Kelsey is I don't see her going back to jail again ever in her life. I think that this whole scram device will be fine. She can take the test. I know they loosened some of the restrictions on it too as well. It's not like an everyday thing, I believe, any longer, which is great news. That's good. I think, like I said, she can take the test now without any pain, which is the most important thing. But I think she's going to go through trial. She's going to get acquitted. Even if it's a deadlock, he said, she said, I still think Bradel and Coakley have more than enough information to present to create reasonable doubt. I just think that the prosecution is going to try to argue it to no end, but I don't think the prosecution has enough details to absolutely refute whatever claim Kelsey makes and whatever the defense makes. And the burden is on the prosecution here. I just don't see them succeeding. I don't see where, because the jury's going to say, is this proof beyond a reasonable doubt? Yeah. I don't think so. I think anybody that is in that jury room is going to sit down and have to say, look, why did he shoot twice? Why did the first one miss? Why did he shoot again? Why didn't he just, if the gun had jammed, why didn't he just tackle her to the ground or try to apprehend her through a physical means? If he had a taser gun, why didn't he use the, there should be enough argument there to create questions about how the officer conducted themselves. And usually what happens in these cases is it always seems like when you're the defendant, it seems like all the odds are stacked against you initially. And then once your defense team does all of their digging, and once they get in the courtroom, it all starts to change up quite a bit. And that's exactly what you saw with Karen Reed's defense team. They get in there, they go on the offense, they start to raise questions, they start to bring in experts, they start to pick apart the prosecution's arguments. And guess what? It becomes all she wrote relatively quickly here. So We're looking at that. We are at $1,435 is our new total.
Excellent.
$35.
Better night than you expected?
Yeah, I always like, my mind always works in tiers. So I come and I'm like, let's try to see if we can get 500. Let's see if we can try to get 1,000. Now 1,500. So you know, thank you, Jenno. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I love that you're doing this for her. So 2 things from what you had said a moment ago. 1, here's how much reasonable doubt they already have on the defensive side without having to do anything or present anything. The grand jury, to some extent, did not buy Noonan's story.
Right.
But before an indictment ever came down, they did not find Noonan credible enough to charge Kelsey Fitzsimmons with attempted murder.
Right.
Okay. So we already know that there are some inconsistencies in his story as well. We've got the door thing where there's, no actual door in Kelsey's room where this allegedly happened. Well, where it happened. And Noonan had mentioned something about her popping out from behind a door. Well, what door, sir? We have inconsistencies in what was said prior to the shots being fired. So there's not enough there for the prosecution to get every indictment that they wanted in the first place. Secondly, you said that the second shot hit and the first missed. Is that true? Because if that's true, then I have some research I want to do tonight. Because typically, if an officer is telling the truth in a shooting, it's the first shot that hits and the second that misses because of the kickback. So if you're recalling that correctly, Mazza, then the defense may have something to go off of there.
Yeah.
Because, again, usually if you have 2 shots, one right after the other, it's the second shot that misses and not the first. So
your first shot's always your best shot. Unless the first shot's a panic shot. You know what I mean?
The first shot is going to be the more it's going to be the more accurate one because you're more focused. You're actually looking at where the barrel is pointed before you pull the trigger. And then after that first shot, the firearm tends to kick back a little bit.
That's true.
So
that's a good point.
When you make that second shot, you're dealing with the kickback from the first shot. So if the second shot is the one that hit and the first is the one that missed, you could have a lying Noonan.
You got me
I'm
thinking.
Just saying.
I'm just thinking about my personal experiences. Is that's exactly what happened to me when I was at the firing range. I was firing away, and then sure enough, my shot started to kick off to the side because it was my mind was subconsciously anticipating a correction by the firearm when I fired off the shot. So because what happens is you fire and your mind gets used to the kickback, and then you fire with a little bit less accuracy as you go on. So you're making a great point to me.
Yep. So the more that you're firing, the less accuracy that typically you have. Unless there is so much time. Oh, awesome job. Unless there's so much time between shots that you kind of have time to re-gauge your bearings and re-steady your body and everything. But typically...
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, it's the second shot that's missing, not the first.
Yeah. We're up to 1590 now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's incredible. All right. That's fantastic. Yeah, that's a great point you make, Britt. As I'm now to think about it more and more through, is I'm always comparing like rifles versus handguns and the difference in that. And I got kind of caught up in changing my argument. The more I think about it, you're right, because I was comparing my own experiences. And I'm like, wait a second. I was a little bit less accurate as time went on. I had to keep correcting myself until I got back to accuracy. So that makes a good point, because, you know, it brings a good argument.
Yeah, especially if it's two shots that are, you know, bam, bam, one right after the other.
Right.
That second one's the one that's missing, not the first.
Right. So why did he miss the first one, then hit the second one, unless the story is backwards?
Right. Or if he really did hit the second time and miss the first time, because I haven't heard this before, you know, before you just saying it. But if he really did only hit the second time, was there a lot of time between the shots? Did he fire, miss Kelsey, and then after missing, you know, maybe 3, 4, 5 seconds go by, and then he and then he fires again? You know, was there enough time in between the shots for him to kind of re-engage his body, his vision, his alignment, and all that?
Right.
So
at what, 10 feet, at a 10-foot distance at best?
Yeah. Something's not adding up about that to me.
No. And then he claims that, you know, her gun had jammed. And then if that had happened, then why not just, you know, first off, right. Yeah. Tackle her down. Taser, you know, if he had to taser her, fine. But then he decides to open up fire. And then it could have been a near fatal. I mean, and that's the attitude I get, is I feel like if this was not a conspiracy, okay, maybe it was collusion. But if it was a conspiracy to say, put her in this kind of situation, number one, you know, would they have just gone for an outright kill shot? But number two, would they have, you know, because my attitude, I just think that similar to the Karen Reed case, they kind of had to adjust this or change their story after the fact.
Right. A cover your ass campaign.
Right. And that's what I think happened here. I think that they had a level of collusion to enact what they enacted, but I don't think that they anticipated it would get to this level. That could be debatable. I could be absolutely wrong. So I can only say, per this theory, maybe that's what happened. But it could have been a situation in which they failed to secure the firearm. Kelsey, you know, decided to act against herself. The officer overreacted, and then this happened. Now, after that happens, they say, "What have you done?" "I just shot her." "What do you mean?" "I just shot her." "Oh boy, you really screwed the pooch on this. We don't want to take any responsibility for this. We'll just quote unquote, because here it comes, pin it on the girl." Right? Is this another pin it on the girl situation like in the Karen Reed case?
That's exactly what it is.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
From the behaviors of everybody collectively after the fact, not before, after, especially the behaviors of law enforcement, what I see is perhaps somebody trying to cover for somebody who, if an IA investigation were done and they had all of the facts, all of them, the good ones, the bad ones, the ugly ones, maybe they would have come back and said that was not a justified shooting.
Right. Yeah.
And so
they were trying to protect themselves by altering their story. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So how do you change that? You give a story that makes your shooting more justified.
Right.
Or makes it sound more justified than it really is.
And how would you do that? Would you suggest that, because it's a rhetorical, it's whatever, doesn't actually need an answer. I don't know if that's rhetorical, whatever, or not rhetorical. I forgot how that definition works. But if that's the case, wouldn't like the gun jamming story make the most sense to lie about if that's your story? Oh yeah, well because they have to just, like, for example, if they shoot at or shoot her, they have to be able to say there was reason for doing it. There was grounds for doing that, right? So that's where they come up with the whole, like, well, she tried to shoot at me, then I shot her, to try to justify that whole argument. That seems to me that where that gun jamming thing comes in, because they can't say, well, she aimed the firearm, then she shot at me. So it has to become, well, she aimed the firearm at me, but then it jammed, and then I just happened to shoot, and it just happened. That seems to me where that argument's coming from. When I hear that jamming story, that's where my mind goes every single time, Britt. Every single time.
And when a gun jams, everybody around you knows it.
Yeah.
There's a clicking sound. So why did he fire again?
Right.
When it jammed, instead of, he's got to be twice her size.
Right.
And we don't know all the facts. We don't know Kelsey's side of the story. Maybe we never will have all the facts, but what I'm seeing here is, them trying to tie up just the couple of loose ends that could have ended Noonan's career. And perhaps, made it to where Kelsey, and something tells me they did not want her reinstated in the first place. They didn't want her coming back from her mental health hiatus. And I feel that she was placed in a, position where she was going to react in a way that they predicted. And it was to keep her from coming back to the North Andover PD. But, that I'm just saying, if her gun did jam, then there are plenty of less lethal actions that they could have taken to apprehend her and make it to where she wasn't the threat that you're claiming that she was.
Right. 100%. And this is what, I think you're awesome, Brett. That's all I have to say to you. Just, I love the way you just kind of break things down and quantify it and then come up with your theories. And that's what I mean. It's just, it doesn't, when I heard the gun jam theory, I'm like, God.
Yeah.
I understand that can happen, but if it does, it's few and far between. It's extremely rare.
Well, especially when it's a police-issued firearm, because she has to keep it well maintained too. I mean, this is not like, two-tooth Jimmy who doesn't take care of his shit. She's cleaning that gun. She's, having all routine maintenance done on it. It'd be one thing if it were just like some kind of, that too. And by the way,
two other women
are from women. I'm not saying that there's, a pattern, but there's a pattern. But that gun was as well maintained as it could be. It was up to police standards. It was her, my understanding is that was her law enforcement issued firearm. So it was in good shape, and it was probably checked before it was even given back to her. And I'm sure that they do something just to make sure that it's not malfunctioning in any way before they issue any firearm to law enforcement. So, there's just a lot about that story that is not adding up. And now that I know what you told me about Noonan claiming that the first shot missed and the second hit, now I'm really interested.
And then even before that incident occurs between Noonan and Noonan and Kelsey, her and Noonan, give Britt a sub. Yeah, folks, give Britt Happens a sub on Twitter.
Oh, thank you guys. Hopefully I'll be able to start doing my own streams again soon. I've been insanely busy. I have a little bit of my own true crime story happening in my life right now. And I'm also a little extra busy at work, partially because of it. So hopefully very, very soon I'll have time to start doing my own streams again. But I'm always happy to help out Mazza.
Thank you.
Especially when it comes to great causes such as this.
Yeah. So. No, it's huge. you have a great mind for this too. You never went to law school though, right?
No, and
No.
you know what, Mazza? You're the second person in a matter of weeks from this community to ask me that.
Yeah.
You know who asked me that not too long ago?
Unetti?
Mark Bettero.
Bettero, okay, yeah, I know it was a lawyer.
Bettero told me something kind of similar, and obviously anybody who says something to you like that, like, you shouldn't take that lightly.
No. Absolutely not.
Especially coming from a lawyer of his caliber. And so he said it, and that started getting the gears turning for me about whether I should. And it wouldn't be easy. It wouldn't be cheap.
No.
It would take a lot, but I think I would enjoy it. I've never been into, true crime or anything like that. But when I first started watching Karen Read, and now with Kelsey, regardless of the facts, like whether Kelsey is really, whether she I don't care what direction that barrel was pointed in, her due process rights were violated. And that's why I'm particularly mad. Karen, regardless of what happened between her car and Officer John O'Keefe, her due process rights were violated. So, there were things in each of those cases that really piqued my interest. And it wasn't until Karen that I realized that I am interested in this stuff. Like, I had no idea that this was something that mattered to me.
Yeah.
But it does now. And I know it now. So maybe I'm thinking about it. I'm gonna research and look and see what I would have to do. It would probably have to be like an online
courses,
thing, so I can still work. I still have bills and stuff. So but yeah, I'm considering it. All that to say, I'm thinking about it.
Right, exactly. That's something I pondered in the past year or two myself. But the thing that turns me off about it is just the level of just like constantly studying, reading like all day, every day. It's a lot of reading. It's a lot of reading. You have to understand things at a high level. It's not easy to get. Yeah, it's But
I think you kind of already have a lot of that understanding.
That's true.
And just like from real world things, what I've found is, the more I read up on, legal things, like the more I actually just look at maybe a statute or a case file and read it, I'm kind of able to take the stuff that I know from what I've witnessed in the real world. Yeah. And it helps me kind of glean and understand and digest what I'm reading a little more easily, rather than having to completely visualize and conceptualize something that I'm just reading with having zero background knowledge of it.
Right.
We should do it together, Mazza.
Right, exactly. I think the thing I think I would be great at is being a defense attorney in the courtroom itself, and just arguing and taking on witnesses that were prosecution witnesses. Like, I think I would absolutely be amazing at that. I think that's, of all things legal, that's like, I like sitting down and just game planning and scheming against prosecution witnesses and trying to get them to reveal whatever. Like, that's like, that would be like, for me, like, that's the number one thing I'd want to do. And
I enjoy writing. I love writing so much. I literally used to just do it for fun. I have so many notebooks full of shit that the middle school brain comes up with. I would really, really enjoy that just as much as courtroom stuff.
Right, exactly.
So,
what you think about attorneys? Oh, you need to go?
Oh, no. I was just saying, you and I should talk about places we can look at going to.
Right, exactly.
if we both go, we can help each other out.
Exactly. Now that's a big part of law school, is having your allies that you can work with and study with and all that, and go through every detail and all that. It's huge.
Mhm.
It's a lot of, I know a few people that have done it. It's a lot. Well, beyond lawyers, beyond the lawyers we know, I should say.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, I can't think of a better law school ally than you, Mazza.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah, that'd be awesome. I've considered it. I'm like, hey, this might be something for me in the future. Well, down the road, though, I don't know if it's something I'd want to do in the immediate future, but maybe down the road at some point. We'll see.
We could even document it and
Yeah, right.
like do a whole either
Right.
a playlist on our existing channels or start a new channel where, okay, today
Right.
here's what we
Right.
what we did in law school and what we talked about. We went over these topics and
Right.
this type of crap. I mean, I think it'd be fun.
Yeah, exactly. So Jeno says we can do study streams. I'm like, that's funny.
Yes,
We're live with the study stream. Yep, we're studying for our test. Yeah, studying for our test and all that. Yeah, it's awesome. That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Where are we here? So we're after 8 o'clock. Okay, perfect. And then let's get an update. Her GiveSendGo total is up to $63,375 out of the $100,000 goal.
Excellent.
Strong here. And our
Wonderful
total right
job.
now, yeah, it's awesome. We're at 1675 right now. Present total 1675. Wow. That's awesome.
Kudos
That's really
to
cool.
everybody.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really good. That's really, really good. I think for most of the fundraisers we've done, we've been over 1,000 for 5 of the 7. So now we're at, I want to see what my all-time, or I say our, not my, our all-time total is. Let's see if we can get a number here.
Kokomo, the trial right now, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's scheduled for sometime in February.
February 9th.
February 9th, thank you.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, February 9th is the date. And let's see here.
That seems so quick.
It is.
Especially considering,
Karen Reed.
Braille is still asking for discovery.
Right. Yeah, 100%.
We kind of have a
100%.
trial in just over a month. And
Yeah.
I still haven't gotten anything that I've asked for.
Right.
Why
Oh,
is
goodness.
that such a staple issue in Massachusetts?
Right.
I mean,
exactly.
there's such a slow turnover for everything. Every case I've ever watched in Massachusetts. Even there were a lot of cases that have been within the blast radius of the Proctor phone. And one of which was Brian Walsh. And Brian Walsh's lawyer, Larry Tipton. Is that who it was? Was it Larry Tipton? He's the public defender.
Might have been. I might have heard that name.
It was Larry Tipton. Well, he at the last instant was getting stuff from Proctor's phone. I mean,
That's insane.
I mean, it was crazy to me, and it made me wonder, like, how is he could have an entire strategy lined up and in order, and all this new discovery that comes in could foil that strategy that you've been spending months or years on.
Right.
Your whole plan is sunk with days or weeks to spare because of this new information that the prosecution's finally turning over to you.
Right. That's our 8 fundraiser total, Brett, for the 8 fundraisers that have been done on this program.
Look at you go, man.
That's wild. 18,000 overall.
Great job.
That's incredible. That's awesome. That's it's a testament to everybody that's donated. That's for sure. These people have donated a lot of their time and money to this cause, and we're happy to produce for Kelsey in this manner. That's what we want to do. We want to be able to hear to be in addition to her efforts, and everybody's joining in on that and doing that. So that's great. I keep her. That's one thing I didn't do during the Karen retrial is keep a running total, And this time, I'm like, for Kelsey's, I'm going to do like a running total. I'm going to do like a spreadsheet and all that, which is great. So that's awesome stuff. You got to love it.
Well,
That's awesome.
Every
Happy about
dollar
that.
that you guys donate is a fuck you to the corrupt Commonwealth. So
Pretty much.
Yeah. Thank you all for
your
15,329 fuck yous.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much.
Counting.
Tonight's total was 1675. Really good. Really good. I figured we had a good shot at getting over the $15,000 mark on our all times in a stream soon, which was great. And we helped Kelsey get over the $62,000 and the $63,000 mark on her GiveSendGo, which was great. I love the math and stats myself. But that's all. Like, I'm always about math, totals, numbers. That's all I care. Like, I love it. I like a total stats fanatic. So I love to like do math and all that stuff.
Sports and all that too.
Exactly. Sports statistics, all that stuff. I've always been in all that. So it's good. That is great. So that's our tonight's total is $1,675. We'll try to do one more double check before we go off air, but that will do it. So Brett, final words.
Kelsey, keep pissing them off. I'm so glad that you're out, that you can breathe some fresh air, spend some time with your dog, with your parents, and help contribute toward your own defense. I know that it makes a huge difference for you just to be able to show up for trial, not having been in custody. It changes the way that you look to the jury and everything. So I'm very, very glad to see you out. Keep pissing them off, and please don't give up. There are thousands of people here who are eager to help you in any way they can, myself included. And if there is any way that I can help you, please reach out to me and let me know. My name is Britt Happens on every platform. Also, I hope that you get everything restored that Justin has taken from you. Your job, your child. I mean, the only thing that you can't get back is the time that has been lost. But I hope that the satisfaction at the end of all this is somehow helps make up for it. So we're all here for you. We all support you, and we hope for the best for you.
Absolutely. Well said, Brett. Brett, I can't thank you enough for coming on this program. You've been a great help to all these shows I've done. I think every fundraiser you've pretty much been here. I think almost 100% attendance for those. So I can't thank you enough. And,
that's come to everyone. I'm always happy to. Thank you for having me. I love getting to talk with you. So
you got it. Absolutely, Brett. So I hope you had a great Christmas as well. I know I did.
Yes, you too. And Happy New Year. Happy New Year, everybody. By the way, I love your Squawk Radio sweatshirt.
There it is. So yeah, I opened up my gift, and my sister got this. I'm like, wait a second, that's the radio station from Stranger Things. Stand up a little bit. There it is.
I love it.
Yeah, so my sister got this for me. So later in the night, she goes, "Hey, here's the gift I got you," and we were exchanging gifts. And I'm like, wait a second, this is the radio station from Stranger Things. And then I finally watched Volume 2 last night. Watched all 3 episodes. I'm like, I see Dustin wearing this shirt. I started laughing. I didn't realize they actually wore it on the show, which was funny. So I didn't expect this gift. I got a Dr. Squatch 11 soap bar. I guess Dr. Squatch has the Stranger Things sponsorship going. So I was laughing about that. So
I want to get you a little like tape recorder sound tower like they have at the radio station, where you punch in the tape and there's a belch sound and a few other things. I'll have to go back and watch one of the episodes and find it, but that would be funny.
That would be hilarious.
Your
sound effect thing. Just push the buttons.
That'd be hilarious.
That's awesome. That would be funny as hell for sure. So, all right. That's our final total. Let's double check the numbers. Brett, I can't thank you enough. You're awesome.
Well, great being here. Thank you again for having me. I hope everybody has a wonderful evening, a happy new year, and I will see you all on the flip side.
All right, very good. All right, see you later, Brett. I'd like to thank Emily C., Lauren, Katie, and Britt Happens for joining the show tonight. This is our total. I'm going to take a quick screenshot of this. Let's get that screenshot. All right, here we go. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight. Appreciate it. Had a pretty good showing here, once again, for Kelsey, helping her out. All right, there we go. That's it. Those are our final numbers for tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much. Please subscribe to this channel as well. We'll be back. I don't think I'm doing another show this year. I think this might have been the last show of 2025 here on MazzaMedia. But hey, that's all good. We're helping Kelsey. Kelsey's home for Christmas. She's home for New Year's. And we're looking forward to her having her day to fight through this trial and fight for her child and do everything she needs to do to move forward in her life, to get it back to where it should be rightfully, as well as her health. We pray for her health as well. So we just say those words to her, and we share in that opinion, ladies and gentlemen. From MazzaMedia, I'm Mark. Have a happy New Year and happy holidays, and take care of yourself. From MazzaMedia, not WSQK 94.5 The Squawk. It is MazzaMedia. We're going off the air right now, ladies and gentlemen. Take care and have a great New Year. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Bye-bye. Free Kelsey.